The road to EWC begins now for the Americas, and it's Lemon Kiwi and it's Mansili bringing you through a super hype qualification match for one of the biggest Valorant tournaments of the year.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so excited that we're finally starting here on the stream for the Americas, because I was watching over last weekend. They already started EMEA. They already started in the Pacifics. They're almost done. And I'm like, damn, Americas this year, we've always been so far behind everybody else from stage one. So now at least we finally make it there, and we actually have the best teams going forward and potentially qualifying here to Paris at the end of this tournament.
Yeah, and we're already figuring out who went to who's going to Masters London. But hey, a trip to Paris also sounds just as nice, especially for one of the teams that are going to be joining us here today. Our BO5 will be LEVIATÁN versus MIBR, but we're going to be introducing you to all of the teams that are going to be participating, because we have multiple phases and we have multiple qualification spots for Paris.
Yeah, for those who are actually new here watching the EWC, I know a lot of people have been watching like POVs recently, and also looking at Zix, for example, going into the watch parties leading into today. To TLDR this, it ties into the VCT format, right? So if you're in the bottom two of each of your group in stage one, you're seeded 9 to 12, and you're going into the play-ins. So as you're able to qualify through that ones in a double elimination bracket, now you join a set of other teams who've made it from second place to sixth place over in the brackets over itself, and here are the teams going into phase two. So now the bracket's already started. You've already seen some results of it yesterday. We'll resume it in a second, but you got the best, the cream of the crop. I know G2's missing because they already won stage one, but then you have at least that number two, LEVIATÁN going in, MIBR, who seems to have turned things around. I think 100 Thieves were also on the come up, as well as Loud towards the end of stage one, and of course you can't forget the other teams too. I think this is such a good bracket to look at as we continue forward.
Yeah, and there's already so many teams already qualified to EWC, and we have to send more of them there. So we're going to be zooming in on the first semifinal on the upper side, LEVIATÁN versus MIBR. We also have a lower bracket match happening at the same time. We'll try and update you on those results as we go, but it's just one BO5 today. Not too much of a marathon, but a BO5 does feel like a marathon for some of these teams, especially for a team like MIBR, who hasn't seen a BO5 since kickoff, but LEVIATÁN just came off of a grand final in stage one, so they have some resilience to them.
To be honest, I think if you're MIBR, you kind of want to forget those BO5 experiences during kickoff, because you basically made it to the finals of the upper bracket. You lost that one, you lost the middle bracket, then you lost the lower bracket to miss out on Santiago, so that's gonna have to hurt for sure. But now they have a chance for redemption. They had that experience with all the BO5s that it went through. LEVIATÁN most recently played a BO5 against G2 in the grand finals of stage one, and they're playing within this map pool, as you can could see. So Bind is out, Ascend is in. We already saw that towards the end at playoffs during stage 1 of all of the regions, and now we have an opportunity to see this map back into rotation, which I am so excited for. Ascent is probably one of my favorite ones. A lot of people probably think it's like Bedge sometimes because it was always like Bedge composition of what it was in the past, but ever since Ascent came back into the map pool with all the agent changes, the new agents coming in, and also the metas evolving, it starts to look quite interesting again on how you approach this map.
And that's a good point about the meta. This is the pre-Neon nerf meta as well, so we're still playing a very fast double duelist on pretty much every single map, and both of these teams very much familiar with that. And not only just that meta, but also against each other. I mean, they faced off very recently, Leviatán, MIBR, in that upper bracket semi-final where Leviatán took MIBR down to that lower bracket, but also MIBR got some success in that group stage for the stage 1 of VCT. So Leviatán makes London. They're going to see an international. MIBR unfortunately missing out on that. So this ticket to EWC, I think, just is worth a lot to someone like to a team like MIBR.
100%. I think it's a great way to turn things around for sure. And especially if you looked at the bracket earlier on, you were slightly paying attention to it. MIBR actually just got a 2-0 against Crew. And Crew was supposed to be notably the best team going into Americas after 2 weeks because of the hiatus that they had with the visa issues. But now they were looking like, oh crap, they're unstoppable on Lotus. The map pool might be deep, but then we realized there that maybe they're not as strong as we anticipated for them to be. But for MIBR to have that first stepping stone over Crew and now to have to face an even bigger obstacle in Leviatán right now, if MIBR is able to turn this around and qualify out of this BL5, you'd be so happy to see this happen. So here's a roster, as you can see here, Jen. It's such a good roster that we currently have for the side of MIBR. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one.
Yeah, 2 SAM orgs, one having more SAM players, obviously, but also just very familiar with each other. King, Aspas, Mazzino, and others were all part of a team at some point in time, so facing off. And this is, guys, a qualification match for Paris. And we're still on the upper side of the bracket, so it's not the end of the road to EWC if things don't work out here, but the team that had the last laugh was Leviatán, but we get to focus in on MIBR, and such a calm and composed team compared to who's on the other side, and these players have been around for a long time.
Exactly, as we were mentioning before, it was almost like the super team being built going into kickoff for the VCTs in the Americas, because you have Aspas, who's always arguably going to be the best duelist in the world, as well as Zekin from the last couple of years as well has pretty much been up there along the conversation with the Aspas too. So you put those two together with how good Verno's been from challengers into playing his energy scene, and then also finding a path as an IGL as well for certain teams. You would think that now all that combination with a strong sentient Tex and Mazzino, who's been a good controller back in the days for Crew, and Leviatán, it should be a complete roster. But there was always a little bit of rough around the edges going into 2026 for this team. But again, since we really haven't had a chance to really focus into MIBR for the road to EWC, with that victory over Crew, I'm really looking forward to see what has changed into the playstyle of MIBR going into today.
And the calling from Verno has been fantastic. The double duelist, MIBR really honed in on that identity. And I think we just wanted to see more aggression from them. That's kind of the whole point of the double duelist. I think MIBR have really found that footing and have had outstanding performances even on maps against Lev. So this is going to be I think some sweet revenge if MIBR can pull that off. But let's also look at their opponent. We have Leviatán, who just went to the grand final of Stage 1 VCT, going all the way to that final map, not closing it out, but still getting that ticket to Masters London. And now they want to go to Paris too. And of course, you have King, that IGL, facing off against his former teammates. And this is a star-studded roster, but also a lot of young talent coming in from that academy team that we've been so excited to watch develop.
Yeah, King having to play against Tex, Aspas, and Mazzino, old roster teammates that followed along with him when they won stage 1 of Americas in 2024. But now, you know, you bring so much firepower into Sato, into Spike Zine, Blows, and Neon. If you've been watching like the VCTs, if you've been following even Blows and Neon in the challenger side for LATAM, you know that this roster is strong and powerful. When we started things off during kickoff, for those of you that are new right now watching EWC and the road to EWC, if you haven't been following the VCTs, a quick recap into that too was that they also had one small issue where Neon wasn't of age to play yet going into kickoff, and then finally in the last week of kickoff you saw the potential, but then really on stage 1 they started shining here for this team.
And man, is this you talk about MIBR being this calm, composed team of veterans, and Lev just feel like the complete opposite, the yin to the yang, just a lot of young players, but also a lot of hype players. Every time you watch Sato, he's standing up. I'd be convinced he plays standing up too, but it's just every big play, he gets his team on his feet. And now everyone starts standing up like we're taking attendance. And you just have insane fraggers with Sato, Neon, and Spike. And also Sato's mentioned in interviews, they not just are excited, they try to manifest those wins. Like they'll have backgrounds of Masters London, for example, on their phones or something like that. And now I'm sure that has shifted to maybe the Eiffel Tower of Paris or something like that. But LEVIATÁN, they're trying to take on yet another global stage and trying to bring a lot of these players who have not seen a global stage for the first time. We'll see if London or Paris is first, but either way, that's a tough schedule for LEVIATÁN.
Exactly. The tough schedule is the important aspect going to this one as well, Lemon Kiwi, because that is the perfect opportunity for a team like MIBR to really try to topple LEVIATÁN in this BO5, because, you know, you had such a longer series, a longer stage in the VCTs because you made it to the grand finals, having to play a full 5 map against G2. MIBR had a chance to practice a little bit more, get ready for this tournament in itself, and then Lev has to instantly go to London for the VCTs after this as well. So you know that the preparation is not going to be should be as prepared for LEVIATÁN so far. So there is definitely an opportunity for MIBR to turn things around and to make this a very close and convincing game. But if you're looking at this map veto so far here, Lemon Kiwi, I gotta say that it kind of makes sense. LEVIATÁN, actually, I don't know how much sense it makes, because you leave Breeze into this BO5 and you allow MIBR to pick. LEVIATÁN has not won a single Breeze going into stage 1. And the issue with that was just trying to play into their composition that tries to leverage a lot of that double duelists, as you've mentioned before, but there's just not enough utility or ways to fight with the composition that they bring. And the last time these two teams played against each other, the last 2 times these teams played against each other, you played all of the 5 maps here for Split, Breeze, Ascent, Fracture, and Haven. So if you want to go back to recency bias, you could study your own tape from the past and just try to micro correct as much as you can going into this BO5. I think this also series should be decided on this map of Breeze and Ascent.
And on the same patch that they literally just played these maps on 2 weeks ago. But I like that you bring up these map picks, because LEVIATÁN picked Split, and it was actually MIBR that picked Split in their most recent encounter. LEVIATÁN really liking Fracture in that previous series. Now it's MIBR picking that. So both teams kind of having mixed success, but also feeling like they want to change things up. And in that series, it was Split that went the way of LEVIATÁN, 13-10. That was super close. Fracture, 13-4 for MIBR. That got forced to map 3 on Ascent, where LEVIATÁN closed out that semifinal 13-7, knocking MIBR down to the lower bracket of stage 1 playoffs. So it's one thing to beat a team once on these maps, it's a whole other ball game to do it again.
For sure. Fracture is going to be a super fun match to watch between these two teams, because it almost feels like they found some great successes most recently, right? If you look at LEVIATÁN, the comp that they brought out with the Waylay Neon and Teho Breach was allowing them to be very proactive on the defense and also just catching their opponents off guard every single time. Although it was a victory here for G2 in that series because they played the Sage to really counter that, overall it still looked quite good what they had in terms of composition and idea there. And MIBR, I feel like the most recently against Crew is very similar. Although the comp is different, they still try to fight with a lot of aggression around the Jet and the Neon themselves, between Aspas and Zekin, and also using a Sky to help out at the same time. So it's going to be a brawl with different types of utilities, but again, that's the reason why I have to say that it's going to get decided here on Breeze and also on Ascent, because those maps can be traded out. If you look at the history recently here on Ascent, man, there was so many good timing timings from Leviatán that took over MIBR. I digress. We're going to have opportunities to talk about that once we get to that map.
Yeah.
But again, I think right now it's still looking like potentially, you know, if you're looking at the BO5 and the records, it should be in favor of Leviatán. But I'm pretty sure that with Coach Fraud behind MIBR, they should have what it takes here to really make this a good game.
And a BO5 just exposes your whole map pool, right? And, you know, Leviatán couldn't close out that game 5 in the final. MIBR have had some struggles in BO5s when it came to kickoff, but that was also ages ago and the roster was still coming together. And just this split, this first map is the really interesting one, right? Because this was something that MIBR picked. Now it's Lev that picks it. But back in that semifinal, it was MIBR that picked it. And everyone kind of like was itching their heads because Lev, just the day before that match, had this outstanding performance on the map. So MIBR really like to pick to their own strengths and now are changing up their map picks for this series because of that. But I think MIBR really just trying to hone in on that aggression of those double duelists, and clearly they have gotten better at that because they've beaten Crew. MIBR had to beat Crew to get here. So that was a contested match. Didn't get to see it on broadcast, but now we get to see if those results will translate and stay consistent now that you're facing Leviatán.
Exactly, and what was good here for Leviatán as well was just how they're working their defaults. They could be aggressive if they want as well, but they're also very good at slowing down the tempo, breaking out utility, but also, most importantly, being very good on flood retakes behind the back of Sato as his Phoenix. For MIBR in the past, it's been on and off in terms of how they're able to win or lose this map here on Split. They're really good at finding spacing on the attack side, but it was always going into like the mid fights when it comes down to a lot of chaos. They're not really in tuned and playing off each other to making sure that they're trading off with each other. So hopefully that gets corrected today.
And I think Leviatán, this is a really strong split map for them. Obviously, they've won it before, but they also have they're just really successful against Sentinel heavy teams, whether it's a Vice setup, Cypher, whatever it is. They know how to bait out that util, really weaken the site, and not get caught by any strong defensive setups. And also, Leviatán are very good at catching teams off guard when they are on defense. They will pop out as soon as barriers drop, as soon as the clock starts, Leviatán starts shooting. So that's why you gotta keep your head on a swivel when you face this team.
And you see this change too from the last time they faced off against each other. Tex comes out with the Cypher, instead of the Vice this time around. Outside of that, everything stays pretty much the same. I think what's important right now to think about what Tex could do on the Cypher is to find that aggressive information for the camera, maybe even trap plays for middle. So I'm hoping that they're going to be a little bit more proactive in putting Tex in different spots. The last time also when you saw like an evolution of MIBR looking much better on the attack side too, was also just Tex sticking with the team and working with the team as a Senti while the lurk was mainly around like Verno or Mazzino depending on the rounds. So I wonder if that's going to stick around in this matchup too.
Will be Leviatán setting the tone on defense initially. A lot of the double duelists and different choices where the Phoenix, of course, very self-reliant, having that ultimate that can just be, I mean, only 6 orbs is so cheap, and why Phoenix is so meta right now, but it also breaks up the fight. You have so many options of smokes, if you will, to basically slice up the fight, whether it's the Viper wall, the Phoenix wall, the Neon wall, and that's a lot of chaos that Leviatán is very comfortable with.
And we're starting fast, and this is nature as well of MIBR, always wanting to 5-man at the beginning of these pistols, and there's only one player, Blows, playing soft side on A. So you're gonna have to play, make sure that you contain towards the A heaven and just let MIBR go in and play your signature into flood retakes with the Sato.
It's a little bit of damage into Zekin, but this is a team that doesn't really slow down. They want information, they want space. They may even extend out of screens if needed. Waiting now for the Prowler to get information, as now defense has to assess. Oh, not even the high ground. They can't even get eyes and ears on the site. As Spike is at least gonna poke and prod from the sides, but it's trades, it's an exchange, and it's MIBR ahead of the game. They will seclude themselves back to the site. Neon is going to try and finish off some of these injuries. Zekin is at half health, but at this point, you're running out of time and you're running out of options. Paranoia will suppress the defense for now. Now on the high ground, the Omen will drop down. Sato makes this easier. Curveball within the smoke, but there's 2 players he has to face off against, and the MIBR teamwork pulls through.
And somehow Mazzino staying alive inside of that smoke, even if his flash, to be able to win that beautiful flash thrown by Sato inside. I love the approach from both. I think they played it perfectly for Leviatán. When you let MIBR in, you're still trying to make sure that you're playing a little bit more passively and soft here on Heaven and back spawn, which is why Neon and Blows kind of stayed behind there. But props to Aspas, not only taking control of Heaven in the first place, but staying on the rafter and waiting for the smoke to dissipate so he can try to isolate and find his one. And luckily enough, he only finds one fight and one player, and he's able to fully take control here of Heaven's side, which allowed for the rest of the team to really close in and play that pulse plant to perfection as they anticipated the triple flank on the top of Leviatán at the top of the A ramp. So great start. Second round, everybody stays out towards that spawn in case there's going to be a lot of aggression coming out here from the defense of Leviatán. Tex is going to hear all the info of the orbs getting picked up, but that should allow now MIBR to start contacting towards this A site.
Yeah, Tex just has to play as safe as possible. There's some rumblings around the corner. What the headshot? The right click classic. Ooh. Tex is putting everybody down, and what a show he has done. I said he needed to survive, but he causes death across the board. Taking down 2 with them. Now the Neon will catch up from across the map, and MIBR have a post plant with time.
This is what I'm talking about too, when a lot of people criticize Tex in terms of like these 4-1 splits that are continuous here for the side of MIBR. He's usually left alone when the hit gets fully denied by the pushes and the defense from any of their opponents. But now that it's for him to activate solo, you saw how he isolated those fights. That was just beautiful to watch.
MIBR, anti-eco, successful, I would say, especially denying any kind of shenanigans that could come out from the opposite side. So MIBR finding success with also having a well-balanced level of aggression, because there is such a thing as overcooking. There is such a thing as being disjointed when you have very mobile duelists that try to do too much. You don't know who is being closed off in the midst of all the smokes that could be surrounding your team. So MIBR with back-to-back successful hits at A, and Tex, I mean, what an impact with the Ghost there.
Yeah, even surprised, like surviving a right-click classic to be able to win a second fight. That was huge. If you're looking at their bonus round 2 for MIBR right now, it's actually quite clean. They're going for a 4 rifle, 1 stinger, leaving the stinger in the hands of Mazzino so that the ones that needs to create pressure with this Phantom, with the sprays that you want to try to do versus double smokes, you're just trying to win the fights here on the control of A Heaven.
It's going to be another A flood, but now actually trying to prioritize that ramp, and Spike shows him what the judge can really do. And MIBR lose one of their entries. Now it's Aspas. Now that the Heaven is smoked off, you're going to throw a nade just to add that extra pressure. The immediate entry into screen solo. Aspas is just trying to get ahead of the game. And this is what's been a strong protocol for MIBR in these moments. Here's a retake for Lev.
And it seems to be continuing to take control of the A ramp a little bit more. But Sato's now moving up with his teammate here and trying to retake towards the screens. Aspas is still solo, so he might get traded.
Oh, Sato with the check, the jiggle, Aspas. Now with the nade, he's going to force King into an awkward position, but the boom bot, a little too much. Did not expect King to be that close. But it does not matter. MIBR, it's all about delaying and to buy time. Enemy remaining. To secure the round at the end. Not even that, just the escape route is being secured too, as MIBR converting the bonus is huge.
Okay, so far so good. If I'm looking at it so far here from how MIBR was working towards that A ramp, I don't know if Aspas initially missed his satchel, so they can't really double dive into the top of Heaven, but at least they traded that out. Zekin understood after that, or heard that it was a judge. They didn't want to overcompensate into that one. They forced Spike to peek out. They punish him there. But right here, that's one of the rare moments that I see where Leviatán are not really playing off each other and training as well as they usually are. And Aspas was able to isolate 2 easy fights against 2 players that have flashes to be able to retake between Neon and Sato. So that was quite surprising to see that it wasn't as ironed out for that retake. So now trying to deny this eco from the side of Leviatán, but MIBR has a chance to bring it as 4-0.
The 3-man fight, and now it's an even battle. But in Garage, it's MIBR that are the only ones that stand. And this Omen of Neon will have to take a back seat, already getting tagged up as he was just checking for information. And then it was the immediate pop out. Leviatán are always trying to catch you by surprise, and MIBR quite surprised, but happy with how that encounter went.
And you see what I mean, right? If it was a different round where Leviathan would have money to work with, that could be an easy, favorable fight going to the aggressive defensive side of Leviathan, and Tex would be solo on the A side trying to clutch it for the team, not having a chance to activate any lurks yet because the first contact from the side of MIBR hasn't really gained space or forced any rotations out yet. So good thing at least this time around there's been some great trades coming through from a flash out from a Xeno that allows here MIBR to overtake the fight on the B side and to get an open plant on A, and now securing their 4th round of this half.
And Leviatán only had one hero rifle here. It was Spike, and that's why you wanted that curveball. That's set up for the Neon. The double duelist, if MIBR can keep checking that at the door, this is looking like a very strong side for MIBR as we go deeper into Split. And again, both these teams very familiar with how each other have approached this. They've had time to pick out how this best of 5 is going to go. From just 2 weeks ago, there was a lot to learn. And MIBR carry through with at least 4 of these rifles going into the next. And I'm sure Leviatán recovered the rifle that Spike dropped. And
yeah, they should.
Leviatán will have to think about the future.
Definitely should have picked it up by now for sure, and try to save it for the next. You can even see Blows trying to find some exits, trying to dot a Spike. So those that are really staying back towards that B site should almost be a guarantee here that it's weapon saved going to the next, which is going to be very important, especially now that Sato has to run it back too. This is going to be a huge swing round for both of these teams. You could maybe mind game the run it back to bait out the showstopper and then try to even out the tally at the mid rounding, where Leviatán are usually pretty good at this so far. But yeah, great utility from both sides too. War of attrition in terms of utility, but it's still the heavy firepower that MIBR brought into the round that enabled them to win that. And you can see here, let me kiwi. Still a full rifle round here for the side of Leviatán, but a couple of them are hash shields. We're not trying to take advantage of that by bringing out any outlaws for MIBR though.
Now MIBR have prioritized much more of the perimeter, whether it's an early hit, just straight up just flooding through A main, maybe trying to fight through ramp, which hasn't worked out. Early looks from MIBR in garage, just trying to stay on the edge of their seats in case there's any kind of double duelist action from Leviatán. So a slow early start now is the showstopper to make the space for MIBR through mid. Solo plays from Aspas. Also isolated from the snake fight, and Neon keeps hold as MIBR won't have any entries despite all that distraction, all that noise at the top of heaven. Leviatán was still keeping structure, and this could be the first round. Now 5 still left and make it a flawless for the defense.
You see what I mean? It's just paper copy paste of what I was mentioning before, right? You have a hit from the side of MIBR that gets stoled here from the side of Leviatán. You get full value off the run it back from Sato. I think that gets 2 kills out of that one through his run it back. But look how just easy it is for something like Neon to anchor up towards that A side, and then Tex just gets left out alone again, just trying to activate his late lurk on middle. So it's very tough. They need right now for MIBR, if they want to maintain a good tempo and a good pace on their attack side, just to make sure that they're not fully giving their lives away every single time for like 1 versus 2 trades in favor of their opponents.
Now a 4-1 from MIBR, just seeing if we're still going to bait out this fight from Leviatán, who I think after that Mazzino paranoia that threw Leviatán for a loop, they are not as aggressive on that side of the map. So pulling back, and Leviatán, they're ready to adapt, checking out mid. MIBR haven't really pushed up there besides with the showstopper, and still Leviatán were ready to receive anything MIBR threw at them.
And it's slow so far, and this is what I'm talking about here too, is Tex staying with the group. You have the lurk coming out here from Vernal trying to find info. There's going to be mid pressure. The Prowler already sees at least one, so they could anticipate at least some sort of a trap play potential or crossfire towards that middle, which now allows here for, again, MIBR to walk contact towards A. Now that they got spotted by Blows, time to run in, time to plant.
Another open site. MIBR so good at slicing up that site with all the walls that they have, but Leviatán could have an angle through this ramp side. Whether it's a curveball that could work this angle well, the paranoia from MIBR within the site will keep this defense at bay, but only for now. MIBR very split from each other, but the duelists should be able to bail each other out through screens, and Second is maybe too far away to respond to that, so not able to bail each other out in that moment. And now the deck of cards, the house of cards of MIBR comes all crashing down as Leviatán have their first successful take here at A.
Look at those X's. Look how spread out they are across here for MIBR. When it worked out, for example, a couple of rounds ago where you know, Aspaz was solo, at least it had some cover with smokes from the behind, trying to create a diversion so that he can really get those win in those fights. But if you're looking at it, Tex gets one pick, it's instantly traded out. Then Aspaz, again, at screens, nobody's there on screens to be able to trade him. They're already deep further back. So not playing with each other here again in this post-pass scenario allows here Leviatán to have an easy retake. And now you've given enough money and rounds for Leviatán to pull out the operator on Neon, and it's only going to get more difficult from here on out.
Now he can have a more passive approach to B, and Leviatán have given up trying to have some crazy garage fights, so him just focusing on that garage tunnel and really depending on Sato to stay concrete here in mid is pretty important. Now, not wanting to overreact to MIBR obscuring the vision. This is kind of what their comp is built for. And now you got the triple swing from Leviatán, testing out the waters. Some initial damage being done to MIBR. That duelist is going to have to take a seat. And the spam is keeping whoever's in vents very humble. And it's about just securing the space for Leviatán. Is MIBR really going to want to commit to this? It's a stalemate. It's a chess match. And MIBR gonna try and push everyone off these angles. They want mid pretty bad. They'll send their Neon there. Zekin will exchange. And MIBR, despite that, haven't gotten any map control too much from that.
They have to regroup now and hit towards this B side into the op. This is gonna be so tough.
Not gonna be easy. Especially it depends if Mazzino as the Paranoid, he's gonna want to smoke the stop. Paranoid does not make contact, but Neon does. Hits the shot. That's all he needs to do. Doesn't also want to completely give up the sight. He holds his angle. Doesn't want to shoot down the Prowlers, trying to hide his position. And MIBR, they're on the approach. Slow scaling. 13 seconds left. A good ping off of the Fade Util. And that's when Blows combines with King. And that is enough. But Leviatán 1v1 just have to deny the plant. And there's no time. Huge defense from Leviatán, especially from that op. Staying as alive throughout the round as they could.
Yeah, you see from MIBR, the reason why they're getting picked off towards this B side, though, easily by Neon is because they use a lot of their utility to try to take mid space in the first place. It looked almost telegraphed that MIBR was ready for that, though. As soon as the Poison Orb goes down on the defensive side for King, you pop flash out for Sato with the Phoenix, and then you triple swing to try to fight. Everybody from MIBR stayed further back to try to engage and initiate onto that, but unfortunately it feels like maybe a couple of them still got hit by the Phoenix Flash, so they couldn't do any punishes on those trades. So then trying to take that mid space was hard in the end, especially when they lost control of vents. So you have to try to walk back into the B site where the op is waiting, and the Prowler is just... It takes too much time right now to get into the default spot, so Aspaz gets easily picked off in the end. So unfortunate. They almost made it close from the way that they fought, but you know, moving out towards the side of hell and getting picked off that way, that's also despite being lost. So the pathing wasn't the best either to try to make sure you could at least get the plant down. So you can see here, it looks like we're forcing out a timeout, I would assume here at this point, from the side of MIBR, because they were looking to have such a strong start in the very beginning. But like I said, as soon as the economy and that running back was available from Sato at that round number 5, you saw that this just went back into the pain point of MIBR not really set up to play off of each other to try to maximize these rounds in their favor.
Yeah, it's a good timeout time for MIBR because both plants were looking good, but when the spacing is getting further and further apart when it comes to A, now you're worried about that op at B. You're not getting these garage fights in MIBR's favor because Leviatán are abandoning that front. So you're kind of trying to keep track of the trends of where Spike and Sato are playing. They've been kind of buddy-buddy with each other, sometimes with Neon, sometimes elsewhere. And MIBR mixed success when it comes to that mid-fight that they're trying to force because it's quite annoying to get through the snake bites, the orbs that King is placing, and whoever else is there. Leviatán calling that pause as we are going to say hello to you once again. But yeah, MIBR have a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to that op.
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, unfortunately, I think this is a tech pause, so nobody's going to be talking, or should be talking at this point too. So at least it gives them a chance to try to refocus individually, and I think that's plenty enough, especially when it comes down to what the players have seen so far here on their attack side for the past couple of rounds for MIBR, and then understanding too that Neon has the op and usually anchors towards this B site. You have 14 seconds left when you get back here into the main time, and then the opportunity then right after to say, okay, this is how we should maybe approach it. And maybe even then, I wouldn't be surprised that coming back from the tech pause, you could even call a attack pause from the side of MIBR, and Fraud could leverage that timer to talk to his team that extra minute to try to figure out how they could take this full advantage again of how Leviathan currently plays. One, it's that, and two is, dude, iron out your stuff, guys. We need to be more as a group, fight as a pack. That's something that's been talked about as a team. If you've been watching the MIBR vlogs as well, in their road for during stage 1, those big losses that they suffered, they were talking about how you know, they're not being proactive enough with the information that they're getting. So hopefully that gets ironed out instantly coming out here from this tech pause, which seems to be an audio issue so far from Lev.
Okay. Good to know. Nothing too crazy, but we'll get that sorted out soon. But yeah, MIBR, they'll need that audio to talk to each other for sure, because that's going to be the name of the game. And I don't mind these solo positions if they could pull off the heroics. I mean, Tex had a big moment with the Ghost, but now it's the Duelist that if they're going to take these screens position, you're trying to maybe catch Leviathan off guard. They're reading that. Leviathan are checking every nook and cranny, every corner that they clear. They are being extra careful to what MIBR could be throwing at them, and Leviathan have already shown that they can adapt, whether it's already scaling back their garage fight, not kind of popping out their Duelist all over the place on the left side of the map, and now tunneling and focusing on keeping the space in mid. Leviathan are not really playing insanely crazy aggressive. They are just keeping map control, and that's what's important to them right now.
Exactly. When it comes down to the only aggressive rounds that we've seen from Leviathan so far was their eco on that second round when they're trying to control orb over on B side, which makes sense because now you're playing the long run, right? You want to make sure that you're getting the ults up for the ones that are closest to their first wave of ults, which was Sato pretty much at that point. And what you're trying to leverage now is the op on the B side to contain, the soft side over A side from blows, and then the 3 working in tandem on middle to control that space. Because again, the identity around Leviathan, what made them so good on the defensive side was just the retake and the scaling that you have here on the defense, which happens right now. Fighting towards mid are Leviathan.
How did Zekin get behind here? The blink of an eye. What a surprise and what a show out. Especially using the Judge. Remember, this is the pre-nerf Neon, so she's still fast and crazy and hard to keep up with, and MIBR can keep honing in on that, clearing out the whole defense. And I don't remember what the buy was, but I do remember what happened. Deja vu from MIBR's offense last time they went to split against Lev. It was converting the bonus. It was getting 4 in a row, and then Leviathan started to catch up. So Leviathan won't be catching up here right now. It seems like we're going to be shutting down this win streak of Leviathan.
If I look correctly of what happened once we got back in the game, I saw that the Viper smoke that they usually place here for Leviathan on defense on mid, but they also threw a smoke on the attack side that covers male, but not too deep. So I would assume here what would happen is Vernal prowlers into the double smokes. If you see nobody really moving in towards that male, that's how Zekin's able to walk up and sneak through and just leverage that Judge so that as soon as they're ready to cover up that space, they could all focus on the fight towards that right side of middle. So that's where you see those X's behind those boxes on the top of vents, and boom goes the dynamite. They drop down every single member of Leviathan, and they leave those players weakened, as we talked about the 1-3-1 setup here from Leviathan, avoiding the op, and then also so many players fighting against only blows on A site, and allows for them to convert that round. So very beautifully played at the end of the day, and there's that timeout we're talking about, but it's actually on the side of Leviathan.
And we'll make sure that actual timeout, hopefully the tech was all sorted out there, but I would want to take a breather after MIBR just ran me down like that, because I mean, Zekin kind of, I like when you use those pauses, whatever kind of pause that it is, so now it's actually a timeout, to ramp up that speed. And Zekin's starting to heat up, and if he has the whole team support, if he could run it down mid, ARAM style, then I'm liking this style of MIBR, because it's been successful in those first 4 rounds, and you didn't let Leviathan counter you too much. You're able to get back on your high horse.
If you look at this timeout as well too, it's call by Leviatán Jean, so the assistant coach. I'm wondering, going into the road to EWC, you want to give a little bit more reps to those that are helping you out, and owner might be taking a little bit of a step back to allow his assistant coach to fully call for the team, which is actually pretty interesting and cool to see. I mean, they've already qualified so far to make it to London, so that's usually what's going to be, you know, at the top of the priority list for them. But then now you have an opportunity in these type of tournaments to test out your new comps, making sure that the synergy is there, but also at the same time giving opportunities to the rest of the supporting staff to get their moments to shine. I mean, if you're looking at the play-ins, for example, for Cloud9, even the assistant coach Veer had a chance to play for the team and was not even the lowest rated player at the end of the play-ins.
Well, we'll see kind of where we rate these Nightfalls. I think that's going to be the big fight opener. But how does MIBR really get good information around these corners so that you can make sure you guarantee value out of this Nightfall? Now kind of assessing that there's usually at least this Neon, this Omen player at, I know it's going to get confusing, but Neon on this defense. The double duelist emerge once again from Lev. They get the orb, and MIBR just didn't suss that out, so they are flipping the map. Orb control for Lev gives them the run it back, and this could be what really kicks this this retake into gear for Lev.
Controlling orb 2 on the side. They have a lot of ults to work with for the side of Leviatán, and they already understood here that this is a hit towards the A side. It should still allow for them to get full control of the A site and flood very quickly. But look at MIBR. They're looking to fight back on A ramp.
The Nightfall retake. Lev just trying to get information. You got the pings, you got the run it back, and not only that, the overdrive kicks into gear as the ramp threat continues. MIBR could be pushed off these angles. They're really getting just pushed out of this round. It's a 5v3 retake now as Leviatán surround and hoping to conquer. Wait for the smoke to dissipate. Zekin hoping to respond, but as soon as MIBR show face, they find themselves without heads afterwards. Now Lev, they're done playing with their food. They're gonna go defuse this spike and call it a day.
Yeah, I don't like that, unfortunately, here, because I saw that 3 players from MIBR were on the top of the A-ramp getting ready to fight back into the retake of Leviatán, which would have been awesome. I don't know if there was maybe some flashes that were thrown towards that top side that kind of slowed them down, but as soon as the Nightfall out from the defensive side realizes that there's only one ping over on elbow, you have to react on the attack. You can't fall back at this site because you know already, they already know the information and you're playing more towards main, so they can start flooding out from screens from top of heaven, and you've given up all that space that you've taken in the first place trying to turtle into the site, and then it's like a 5 versus 2 or 3 on every single angle. So very hard for them to hold out into a pulse plant that way, and nice little walk around here from Leviatán to get full control of where the action was going to be held on the actual hit.
Oh, okay. Just a cheeky spam from Spike, and he's shown up at ramps big, and MIBR, they're just going to ignore the high ground. They have so many ways to block vision, and I think that's why Lev are just not going to play to prevent MIBR from getting into the site, but rather just play the retake simulator. But Lev used so many ults in that last round, they don't have enough great options here besides just trying to fight things out, and 2v2 over in this heaven side, and it's a showdown that MIBR abandoned. Now just playing the distance game. Spike now closing the gap, assessing that someone is within the site. Spike is on the hunt. Tex, though, is having an impact at range, and Spike has to respond. And Zekin just has the cleaner shot, so MIBR keep their lead by 2.
Very nice too, Zekin, knowing that you have Spike just jumped around towards that side trying to clear out the area, and then Tex seems to know where the second player was coming from because of the fade util. So it comes down to 1v1s individually on that 2v2, and it was well won here by the end by both Tex and Zekin. But at the end, it almost looked like it was going to be an opportunity here for Leviatán to be able to retake that site once again. But good thing we're able to get these holds in.
Now it's really back and forth, and this is where the economy is gonna start to come into question. There's a few players in this lobby that are low on credits, and you already have light armor from 3 players on the side of Lev. So you have another 3-1-1 where Lev try to shake things up with these garage fights, and with these deeper one-ways from Lev, it's giving them better space for Garage and at least more certainty. But MIBR, they're going to disrespect these controllers. King falls, no IGL for Lev, and all the dominoes may just fall as Spike has to cross up. It's fellow Neon, and a
No way!
showstopper with Spike is just dancing around the competition, biting at the heel, and he will just single-handedly will this win into Lev's favor as Neon denies any other options for MIBR. Now the Spike will just have to continue towards B, and Neon will be ready for the crunch as Lev have to retake yet again. Now Lev not gonna have as many angles to work with, but Spike, I mean, he's working on a 4K now if he can chase down Verno, who's the last one, but one of the shots are disgusting from the IGL of MIBR. 7-4 now, one left in the half.
Oh my god, everything was pure Valorant going into that round. The walk glitch out from Zekin, who's been very good so far in terms of walking and sliding out to be explosive to get first bloods. But right here, Spike breaking the ankles of Aspas, of all duelists, and is able to win that fight. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this clutch. What clean shots coming through from Verno, and despite here, the disadvantage that you had for the side of MIBR, we still had low HP for LEVIATÁN, which made it very winnable there at this point. But here's a trap play to push towards A main to fight.
And Lev are always trying to catch you off guard with what their double duelists are cooking, but it's fortunately for Spike, he's the one who gets cooked, and he was having a miracle worker that last round. But clutch v clutch, Verno's the one that pulled through for MIBR. The pit will be abandoned as MIBR are trying to push through ramps. They haven't really fully committed towards the high ground. Now they're cut off by the Viper Wall adjustment from Lev, taking their time. Here's the delay. Looking to see if Sato can catch him off guard. No, MIBR just keep their heads on a swivel, and now they're hoping to plant.
Also at a player advantage too. This is finally looking good here for MIBR if they can once again making sure that they're going to play off each other. And so far, if you look at the radar, they're in prime position to trade.
There's the Nightfall. I'm liking that if MIBR can keep these ults for the post play instead of just using them blindly and trying to get a more guaranteed sight. But King and Neon combining 3 versus 2 on the post plan. Verno, man, just lightning fast on the trigger. And it's an 8-4 half for MIBR.
Well, at least on that side for Tex, he kind of overpeaked and gave his life away, but for the rest, he got good information here with the Nightfall and making sure to know where the last players were at. So the last line of defense was really good here for the Crossfire setups.
Yeah. Last time these two teams met on Split, it was Lev that kicked off on the attack, and very similar score, 8-4. A lot of retakes from MIBR, but we have a halftime. We need to see if these teams need a second to talk about how they're going to approach that next one. 8-4 for MIBR, though, very, very strong. Also denying any kind of comeback that Lev were trying to generate, but we're going to see what they'll talk about in the halftime, and we'll see after. Or we'll hang out with you during the halftime. Welcome back. Right in the middle of the action. 8-4 for MIBR, by the way. Now they're on defense, and, you know, no surprise. surprised that both these teams are already fighting as soon as the clock starts.
Yeah, but it's actually MIBR being proactive into this one too. So that spike's already down towards middle. So there's a good opportunity right now here for MIBR to slow things down for a bit. Looks like they really don't want to cover up this spike and just hold their angles just to play the numbers, because they've realized here that they've played soft side towards A. They want to make sure nobody's really pushing forward and just play as a group. So you could see 3 of them continuously working in tandem, but also it's interesting because you've also given all of the information around the map that you've gained in the first place.
This is going to be important for Lev to try and come back into this, and they had already begun that. And even when they used their timeout, they had the 1-round win and
30 seconds left.
couldn't even up the half. Now they should be having an open sight, especially having eyes and ears on mid, and having the high ground there is going to be an important position for Spike to take.
Here's the thing though, you're gonna flood retake as 4 players, but you still don't know where the players are being set on the attack here on the pulse plan, because you've given all that information away on the mid round. So hopefully you still have some good util to retake for MIBR.
Now Blow's just having to play time this one way from MIBR is proving to be really troublesome, and Spike pays the price. And now King, I mean, it's a Hail Mary 1v4 on the other side, and this is a real killer. MIBR shooting bodies to you, love to see it. MIBR converting both pistols on split.
It's nice though, right? They still had that util. C's being thrown just to try to get some information with the tether. Then you also had Tex walking solo on top of Heaven. Although I don't really like as much that top solo B Heaven side, but it's Tex playing into a 1-2-1, so he's going to win it in most cases. So he was able to do that. But if there was more bodies up there, man, that would have been a different story here for the pulse plant for Leviathan when it was actually platted for multiple angles, a default spot for Heaven and into main. Thankfully, though, it's still a nice pistol round off the full aggression of MIBR as soon as the barrier came up. And they're actually not giving a chance here for Leviathan to really take control of extremities yet here to try to take the orb. There's already a lot of bodies holding in towards that B side, and really Prowler also to see if Leviathan are committed towards farming orbs towards B, and already jiggle peeks from Zekin on the top of the A ramp. So they know here that the attack is trying to congregate towards middle and try to flit from that spot.
Now that Leviathan, nothing can hold them back. The nade may just split Spike away from the rest. While now there's a judge into the mix, and Leviathan, they got this power position, but it's not over yet. Now they have to collapse onto the site, and Spike is creating that chaos, but Verdo, he's as accurate as ever. 3 HP in a dream. That dream is dead. MIBR just so close to those double digits. And I mean, Lev just didn't have the weapons to even make this possible. So it has to be this first rifle round, or I don't think it's going to happen at all.
Yeah, and staying back too on towards the Raptors and passively towards that B site. They didn't want to walk into a trap of a full 5-man, 4-man hit from Leviathan on the top of middle. So nice here for them to play into these angles. Even though Spike gets that pick on it to Aspas, there's still more players behind to set up the crossbars and it trades after. So pretty good in terms of the anti-eco. They didn't suffer too many of losses, although they still might not have the best of guns going into the bonus round. You can see a couple of them with pistols too, so they could get rifles as soon as they can, and it makes sense. I mean, you're already leading 10-4 here.
Now imagine if the judge from Zekin was on this side of the map. He's always guaranteed one, but wait a minute, the Sheriff hurts just as much. Now Lev really playing with how they wanted to cross over, and kind of knowing that these Sheriffs can just one-tap you, and there's a setup here from MIBR. I don't think Lev are liking their chances, and now there's no other chance, because King was trying to leverage A. That's not going to work. And now the firing squad from MIBR lets loose.
Cage triggered.
Yeah, and they're somehow controlling this so well here on the lower buy. That's Zekin covering with a judge close range, something very good on split. This is also the non-neon nerf, so it is going to be very deadly. So he's able to solo anchor that.
Now Blows can just either disrespect the trip or go to the other side of the pillar, but on the high ground. It's a really tough angle to try and fight through it. Blows, I mean, it makes it look easy. Now MIBR just staggering, kind of bait and switch, how they're going to swing. Now all three combined. And it's the teamwork from MIBR that keeps LEVIATÁN suppressed and also spikeless. As Neon 1v3 situation, he'll try to isolate, but oh, Zek is just going to spam through anyway.
Beautiful. I wonder if Zekin saw him just before the smoke bloom, but everything before that was also very nice. Even though Mazzino looked like he got dropped quite early when he was speaking, but he had the pistol. They throw the C's to see if they get information, but what was even nicer for the side of MIBR was that they made sure that they grouped up from the rotation from the top of the stairs of B Heaven and counted a 3-2-1 triple swing back into new box, and they got a 3-2-1 trade. So it was super nice. They didn't lose any bodies in the process, and they allowed for them to have even more bodies to retake after against LEVIATÁN. And that, again, remember, this was a bonus round that you had for MIBR when I told them that I told you guys that they had an even lower buy in their bonus round, and they're able to convert that. So you can definitely see the money is flowing for the side of MIBR. They're in the lead by 11-4. It's not looking good here for Lev.
Converting both pistols and both bonuses. What an insane performance from MIBR. The last time we've been on split between these two teams, Lev won this 13-10. A much, much closer affair. So you could tell that MIBR have absolutely leveled up, and they have taken this tournament so seriously. Now that Masters London is not in their favor anymore, this is what they're focusing on. They want to make a global stage, and they want to do it against the team that put them in the lower bracket of playoffs just recently.
And they definitely turned it around in the last 6 rounds here for MIBR as well, because remember, this was a lot of rounds that were strung here by Lev when they were playing that defense in the first place. Well, how good I was talking about, of how good LEVIATÁN is as rotating around the map, and how it wasn't the best positioning for MIBR in these crossfire setups. But now on defense, man, they're been looking pretty good here. Look at this high-low setup towards B main. Now it's being smoked out, though, so that's going to isolate a little bit. So they're trying to delay as much as they could on their side for both Verno and Zekin.
Oh, that Prowler gets a lot of value, and Verno, he's just gonna stay as humble as he can, let Zekin and Mazzino do all the work. Verno's like, my job here is done. I threw the util, but now it's LEVIATÁN with a big response and a big counter. Nice shots, and somehow MIBR had a resistance, but it's LEVIATÁN that just still kept committing. Got the kills. Now they have a strong post plan.
Come on, let's go.
Osmos is already out to fight, though. Okay, good ult coming out too to get info in the first place and pick up a gun. And there you go. Makes it a little bit more difficult for Tex, who could catch up here with Osmos. Whoa!
Oh, shot from Tex. Wait a minute. Now the Nightfall's just disrespecting the Cypher, and Lev just needing that extra insurance. They don't want to let MIBR have a chance back into this game and a chance to get to match point. Tex managing to get around. Oh, and after that shot, I mean, Lev heard that one, and now Tex is just happy to get out with his gun.
Yeah, I was hoping to find a timing here by dropping a gun into the smoke to bait out the sounds and bait out a rotate. But at the end of the day, it's still around for LEVIATÁN, and you've wasted out 2 ults and dropped 4 bodies. You'll take that any day too, because the money, again, I don't think should be the best going into LEVIATÁN for this next round because of that. But man, I feel like it was the haunt that wasn't really broken down by anybody here for the side of MIBR that made the anchoring so much more difficult for their side, for both Verno and Zekin. And you saw too, Zekin kind of felt like he was too much pressured. He was falling back with the slide towards the back of the site, and then they were just not in tandem to trade off between Zekin and Verno back there. But Outlaw comes out on the defense because they know the money's low here for LEVIATÁN. This could do some good damage.
By the skin of their teeth, LEVIATÁN denied a match point from MIBR, but Spike, he was trying to get fast, he's trying to get loose, and now he's 6 feet under. Mazzino working the Spectre at magic close range. You do exactly that with that kind of weaponry, so Lev will move through without that lurk. Still another lurk towards the left side, and they may just have to crunch down on B, and then there is Tex gets ended himself. And Lev, wherever they go, wherever they step, you take down MIBR with it. Now 3 versus 3, though. The job's not done. If you're LEVIATÁN, you're really just trying to salvage, and not just that, you're trying to thrive. And backstab now from Mazzino coming through the right side of the map. It's going to be a showdown, a 1v1 to determine who goes to match point, and now make it back-to-back, all thanks to King.
And it was so close. King does a dink and almost whiffs a shot, and Verno also brings the HP down onto King on that 1v1 and almost won in the end. But it's the IGL versus IGL AGL. Leviathan takes the upper hand, and they stay alive in this fight. Look at how there was so much pressure going in from that B-side main in the first place. That kind of caught some players from MIBR off guard here when they're trying to hold that defense from the top of heaven. So a lot of them got backstabbed. At least it came down to a 1v1. We know the economy is not the best, or wasn't the best, for Leviathan. So they're always going to be down to the skin of their teeth, as you're mentioning here, Lemon Kiwi, because every loss here would potentially be just a low buy into a map point for MIBR.
Let's see if Sato can really create a fake on the left side, but not really needing to when Lev just looked that good. Post timeout, at this rate, Lev are about to have a 3-round win streak. Hold on. Is the comeback possible? It's gonna be an uphill battle. They have to double their score essentially. And MIBR have, I believe, 2 timeouts still in their back pocket to utilize for what looks to be potentially a longer split than we expected.
Yeah, that was very nice by Leviatán to change a little bit of their look at the beginning of their default. Usually it's like walk contact and you're given a little bit of info from util to try to gain space, but this time they just walked contact out into A main, realizing here that the real pressure that really came in was altering the judge for the past couple of rounds for Zekin, and this time they're just able to fully punish what seemed to have been MIBR trying to go for a haunt and information play, but they broke that timing by seconds before the haunt even came out, and yep, Texas left alone there at the end of the day and couldn't do anything to assist his teammates.
Now this is Lev really ramping up just like they did in that first half, where there's usually a bit of a win streak from MIBR. Lev take a timeout and download what they need to do next, as we also assess where the economy is at, where when it rains it pours. MIBR not gonna have the strongest buy here, just 1 rifle, and Texas had a good game, I would say, and not in terms of the quantity of kills, but the quality, the impact that he has had being left in these solo situations a lot of the times, and especially getting information around the map. That's what's going to be important for MIBR. But Lev kind of don't care what you know. They kick the door down and they rob you sometimes. That's kind of how crazy Leviatán can be with this double duelist.
Yeah, and because Leviatán are doing a little bit of this wall contact now, I wonder what this timeout of fraud, if they want to be a little bit more proactive and aggro, especially if they don't actually, the economy is broken on the side of MIBR. It was supposed to be a turning point that would allow for the bank to break on the side of Leviatán if they're able to keep the scenarios quite low in these duels. But Leviatán had a couple of rounds here where they kept a lot of players alive into their dubs, so they're looking pretty healthy in their econ finally for the attack side, which is why I think you should continue to underline the conversation of trying to be aggro within this round. It got a lot of success in the pistol round when we came back from that break, and they got good value on taking down that spike on middle. And now this time around, we have seasoning potential with concusses to be able to flood out from the positioning of MIBR on top middle here.
And an overdrive, you just know how crazy Zekin can get sometimes. He has been pretty fast leader for this MIBR squad when it comes to these engagements. Now with a bit of noise being used here or being done from Lev to get the orb, the camera, MIBR very passive towards that front. They'll have even a fade to drop down some util to get information, but right now MIBR just have to watch and maybe make sure that Tex is gonna be safe. He's gonna have to live in his cage, and now that all gets brought down, Lev still trying to punish this Cypher. Reinforcements come in from MIBR. Tex has done enough to delay, but he's on his last legs. Blows is done with this fortress, and he's trying to take down these walls brick by brick as Lev in 3 versus 2 still have to remove these defenders, and it's an exchange and only 1 lone wolf remains. King brings Leviatán to 8.
Great utility at the beginning here for Leviatán, should I say for MIBR. You saw the walk contact coming in here too for the side of Leviatán, and the camera was able to get a lot of info in the first place, but at the end of the day, they were just ready for that too. Hans being thrown at the right spot here for the side of Verno. It gets a lot of information. It allows MIBR to really fight with the team, but just the firepower was just too much now for MIBR, for Leviatán to overtake them on the B side hit. Now this is another round here where you might be forced to go into an eco if you lose this one here for MIBR.
Are you gonna jump into the Zekin judge trap though in Vents? Lev not getting that pick means they May just have to collapse onto B yet again. This needs to be synced up. This has been a win streak for Lev, and Zach in the double with the judge coming out of vents, and now breaking everything down from the Lev plans. There was so much wind in the sails of Lev when it comes to these B hits, and finally MIBR respond.
I have things to do.
And MIBR will have 2 ults to maybe finish this off to now on match point. Lev should obviously have a good enough economy, some light armor, but rifles is what's important, and how you can leverage
This goes here.
this overdrive from Spike. It's had maybe a quieter second half compared to the rest, but mainly it's how you finish that matters. And if you can get that post plant going with the Viper's Pit, even better for Lev.
I'm not surprised here that they're not pulling out the Outlaw for the defense as well, because Leviatán has been a little bit more poppy on their attack side too, so they want to make sure that they're able to fight with rifles, get value off the showstopper from Aspas as well. Where, oh, there's a little bit of a trade, and they're trying to get that out here towards that mid side, and it's well baited out.
Yeah, good disengage too from Neon. A lot of suppression from the Rays. From Aspas especially. Good power position. This is how MIBR retook the map, or retook the round, I should say, after that second double kill with the judge. These duelists have been stars on the MIBR side to force Leviatán to the perimeter.
Now even Tex is going to be able to get some mid-round information here for the team, but they're not really proactive of how they want to try to fight this. I mean, Aspas is on an island. He's going to try to take his one and try to escape if he can, because he has that one satchel to work with. Thankfully, Prowler clears him out.
He's good for now. Only has a satchel and no boombot to check things out, so he'll have to do it solo. And hearing those smokes go up, it's not going to have any support from someone in vents. They're losing Zekin in that round, so may just have to let Lev get in the middle of the map and try to hold the walls on the side. This is for the winner for MIBR when it comes to the map, but Leviatán just get ahead, and they unite and force MIBR to the edge. And on their way,
One enemy
Mazzino
remaining.
and Aspas, and no, just too far forward. That smoke from Neon was so well timed, and now no chance for MIBR in this round.
Even a checkmate for King playing on the top of the rafters. Even if, you know, you came out and got a pick there towards that back of that site, there's always going to be the instant trade from King. So no choice for Mazzino but to fall back and save his weapon into the next round. And it looked good at the beginning. Like I said, it comes down to the neural theft from Tex to get information. What do you want to do with that, right? You saw 4 guys holding out towards Ramen still in that when the neural theft comes out. Yet Aspas plays the top and middle solo. They're still not trying to overtake space or reposition themselves to trade off towards that B site yet. And then once you see Leviatán repop into B, they just weren't ready for it. It was Tex playing passively with his smokes and cages, getting a trap kill on top of it, but then there's no follow-up. There's no ways to really block out like the full push-in from the side of Leviatán. Look at that, Vernal solo towards that back of the site too. It's not the best look to have here when you're trying to iron out your fundamentals for MIBR.
And now there's an offensive judge, this time from Spike. And based on where they're leaning, just trying to force that ramp fight and leverage that Viper's wall yet again. Getting fast, getting active, going in solo. Spike just being a huge distraction, coming around the backside, and Zekin will still react and still punish as MIBR one step closer to taking the map. And it's Lev that just have to get onto the side. It'll be much smoother sailing. And it's Sato that's able to even things up. But that was just taking down Aspas. There's so many Goliaths on the side of MIBR. Hello there. Oh my god, that should have been it. And it may just be it. And a 1v4. MIBR, what a way to end the supremacy of Verno. 13-9 for MIBR.
That was crazy. You just saw it from Verno. It almost looked like the face teleported from behind his face in that model to spot King when it actually cleared out towards that B side. There was trigger discipline trying to come out here from King's side, but Verno finally somehow felt a sixth sense, turned around, you know, the hair behind his neck was tingling, and then he gets that kill and allows for them to shut down that B site. That was huge. That was the biggest kill that allowed here MIBR to have a secured first map now on Split, which is surprising to this one here, Lemon Kiwi, because this was also a map pick coming out from Leviatán, where you would think usually this should be an MIBR pick. But that said, they had a pretty decent fight on their attack side too when you looked at it from Leviatán's side, but then finally going into that round 8 and 4, 6 rounds in a row that was won by MIBR, and that allowed for them to have such a strong lead going into that second half.
Yeah, what talk about a strong lead. 21 kills from Zek and 7 first bloods. And I think the spacing really matters when you're facing a really fast Neon. And just knowing what Spike's pathing was and catching him before he could really start to cause some trouble was a really amazing job from MIBR. And what a turnaround when it comes to kind of the re-encounter, right? Because both these teams just faced off 2 weeks ago on this, where Lev won at 13-10, and MIBR were leading this map 11-4. So some credit to Lev on how close they made it at the end, but no cigar. But we will be going to Breeze next, fans.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun map too. I think this first map too by MIBR is a strong start, because remember, Breeze is what I was telling you guys before. It has not been won by Leviatán yet, so this allows here for MIBR to have a comfortable lead in this BO5.
Yeah, and that split was Leviatán's choice. And MIBR almost, you wonder if they regretted that choice in their first encounter. And I think MIBR are always a team that'll work on those mistakes, their weaknesses. They'll manifest the win, and they are some hungry players. So excited to see what Breeze will have in store for us as MIBR's map pick. And we'll have to take a short break, I believe, before we go there. So we'll see you on the other side.
I swear you remember who you are.
Body was built to move, not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
Well, we are back for map number 2, and Lev fans, how are we feeling? Because Split was supposed to be strong in their pool. It's something they just won against MIBR recently. That 4-11 deficit was no joke for them.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good for Leviathan so far for these first 2 maps, or at least Breeze coming up right now, because historically it hasn't been the best map for Leviathan since the beginning of stage 1 here. But MIBR, they came out with a lot of strength. The game plan was pretty good in terms of like the wall contact opens, but there's still a little bit of the micro that needs to be worked out a little bit in the kinks for MIBR. But that said, the last time these 2 teams faced off against each other here on Breeze, this was still a victory for MIBR because of the comp differences. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to come out of that one, as Breeze is, you know, historically not the best for Lev, as you can see here. I think the first week when they tried to play against the G2, they had Neon on a chamber. They lost 6-13. Outside of that, they tried to play with a lot of aggression around double duelists. They had the Jet and the Neon, but the comp in itself made it a little bit difficult in my eyes to play the defense, because the initiator that you choose is going to be a Sova instead, which, yeah, it's pretty good for you to find like mid-round information right now, but when you're trying to flood retake against so many potential like Harbor walls and Viper walls and Omen smokes, it's hard for you to really fight through that and regain space. So that's why it's an advantage here for MIBR, who usually plays the Sky here on this map.
And MIBR had a recent struggle against the 100 Thieves when it came to that lower bracket. That is the map that sent them out and, yeah, ripped up their Masters London ticket. And I think it's a very unique situation because it was against a single controller Harbor setup from 100 Thieves around the double duelist, and maybe not something they're used to facing every day, but they should be very familiar with their opponent of Leviathan. They faced off against each other a number of times, and now you have Zekin on the duelist yet again, who dropped 20 plus kills on Split and had 7 first bloods. It's a great day to be a Zekin fan.
100%. I think Zekin is feeling it so far too, and definitely a great aspect in terms of the tip of the spear right now for MIBR in terms of results they're currently getting here as his double duelist play. I think from the way that Assos is playing is more of like a support duelist kind of role, because he's playing a Raze that's trying to get a lot of space taken here with the paint shells. But that's going to change going into this map here, because the agents that you're trying to choose for both sides could potentially be to the tier of both of MIBR and Leviathan. It's that Neon, literally Jet, Neon on Jet, but then Aspas should be taking the Jet as well, and that is going to be an op battleground for these 2 players.
Yeah, back to that double controller, and Sato not on the duelist anymore, but I mean, this is a really dynamic team that have 3 people who could play duelist, 3
That's
people
right.
who can have these pop-off moments from the Leviathan side, and I think Omen kind of just is a duelist LARPer, if I'm for real. Like, you can just throw out that paranoia and create so many good opportunities for the rest of your team. So I'm sure Sato, this is another comfort pick, and he was a top fragger for when they faced off against Sentinels. Didn't work out for them there, but
I want to talk about this hover. Yeah, I think they're going to go for the 100 Thieves comp. Zekin already coming out with locking in the Phoenix. I was like, okay, the other 2 have to probably play the 100 Thieves comp to play more slot of the team. So I am interested in this one as well. This has been a pain point for a lot of teams playing against 100 Thieves with the Phoenix, Harbor, and the Neon, but it just comes to show that they're willing to fight through a lot of these walls, of their own walls and their opponents' walls, to disrespect the containment that you're trying to do here with the Harbor in the composition of their opponents.
And this was such a good map for Spike in the past, and he was getting punished a little bit on Split, and I think having that Sova that just gives you even more information on that front, maybe set him up to just sync up an entry off of that. If it's not him, then it's Neon, who's also another dynamic person on the team that can play so many different roles, whether it's duelist, controller, whatever it is. Lev, MIBR, I mean, will be on defense first.
And starting off their defensive side too with a stack on the A site for MIBR. So an interesting one here as well, because Leviathan, they want to leverage a lot of explosive fights within the Neon and the and Spike as the Jet and Neon themselves. So they just want to be ready to contain that. So again, another responsibility of 4-1 continuous setups for MIBR here on this defense.
Being left all by your lonesome Tex, though, I think was really dependable when it came to split. I mean, just that first pistol, he had a 2-for-1 exchange. You love to see that. Just any kind of damage you can do to Lev is ideal. Is a very slow and quiet default. Trying to see if MIBR, after converting both their pistols, what tone MIBR want to set.
But it's fairly slow. They're expecting right now for Leviathan that the minute marker players would try to swing out and try to find information, but they are not moving at all. Look at Tech's position. He's just trying to watch sight from the camera to watch tunnel into main. He's got cages to try to stay alive and try to play soft sight towards arches so he doesn't get pushed through. So all you got to do is hold this half wall, let the team rotate across because nobody's going to disrespect their own harbor wall. So it's kind of free for you to rotate now for the defense.
Tech staying alive, has that trip that you can try to fight off of once it gets to that point. And now MIBR is starting to split up the sites. You have to choose your side carefully, Lev, as they're really all stacked up towards the bottom side. Spike could be isolated here. He falls back to his team, and that's what we wanted to see more of out of Lev. And now it's the ring around the rosy. MIBR just walking in as a unit, and the harbor continues to obstruct things. And now within the cove, it's Sato with 2. Good response from Tex, but it's Leviatán just ahead of this, where the spike is planted. But just like that, in the blink of an eye, MIBR start to defuse. Neon's just trying to prevent it, and there's no
He's
time.
got it! He's got it! He actually took down the diffuser and was able to clutch that round for Leviatán. That was insane. What a big round. I think chaotic overall. That was the nature of the biz right now for these two composition clashing against each other as well. You saw the rotate that I was mentioning was kind of free here for MIBR. Zeki was trying to Ospas was trying to jump spot and try to find information of where positioning could be, but didn't fully clear towards the elbow. So it allows for Leviatán to have some sort of a checkmate by having a late lurk from King on the top of tunnel, and then for Neon to just stay alive and just get his one, the most important round.
Oh my god, talk about one. Neon needed to hit that scope shot, and Ospas came knocking. And MIBR, they're hungry to go into round 3, I think. Leviatán just kind of are setting up ready to receive these unwelcome guests. And Lev, very nervous to what usually you would see a kind of stack in a desperate moment like this from MIBR. But anything you can do to weaken the Leviatán bonus would be ideal here.
They're doing pretty good at it to just stay put, at least for these two to do that damage. Neon's only down to 6 HP, so this could potentially be a free kill. You kind of want Neon to give his life away too, because he's been activating the kills in the first couple of rounds, so you are trying to build a Blade Storm up ASAP. Now you're making sure here that you're crossing the T's, getting a drone out, and you realize now 2 players still holding in front of the A site.
And you're tracking all the attention towards your teammate too, and MIBR on the back foot. Leviatán looking to evict them for the final time, and Tex from the flank, and he's been hurt. What a headshot! And when you have these injuries on the Leviatán side, like Tex could finish a lot of these off. Neon, the best to bodyguard. The chances misses that shot. Tex will make you pay for it. Now he picks up the Marshall, and MIBR are making this possible after what seemed to be so secure for Leviatán, but now they get back to business. And MIBR deny 2 weapons into the bonus for Lev.
Yeah, even Tex couldn't die to Spike too. He got picked off right away by the Guardian of Blows. I love here for the turnaround when they realized here that the flank was starting to lose their grounds on a defense on the post plan for Leviatán, and decide to flip on the other side and isolate the fights on the other end and do some good damage there. So carry over a couple of rifles over into their bonus round, getting a couple of plants for 2 rounds in a row too will build their economy moving into that 4th round as well. But you could see here for MIBR, they are looking to aggro the fight towards this A main side to try to farm orbs. Basically what 100 Thieves used to do here as well in their openings on defense.
Spike is going on a journey. May just be a one-way journey depending on if he wants to focus on cutting off these rotations, depending on what site they want to hit. This will be a good power position to deny Nest. MIBR have no eyes on mid, and they smoked it off for a reason. Now, Lev just going to abandon this. They're really not able to bait these fights out of MIBR and King. That's a good first blood. This could inspire them to flip the map, go towards the right side. And now they're being crunched as MIBR. During that distraction, they came up through Nest, and it's Verno with 3.
All spamming through the boxes, too, to get these 2 kills. Kind of nice for them to anchor it up on a 1-3-1. I think slowly but surely, Leviatán are realizing that they are doing a lot of these 4-1 setups, and it's kind of there where for the defense, you're trying to farm up these orbs consistently on the Zek and Phoenix, and then you usually have, if you've played against MIBR enough, a lot of 4-1 setups. So I think that once you're going to start your openings on the defaults, if you're starting to see this continue in the same pattern, you have some weaknesses you could explore towards middle in that B site. And as they tried middle for that previous round, they realized that there was actually 2 players on the top and mid, and they weren't ready for that.
Now that harbor wall breaks down, they see that Lev's focus is all towards the top site, and this could be an ace opportunity for Verno. I think he had a 3K this round, and here he comes at half health. Lev, though, trying to bunker down, make it 4 for Verno. Around the corner is blows. He corner dog. We'll see what happens. They're about to walk into his crosshairs. 1 on the spike and 1 down. Tex has been denied, but the diffuser about to go through, and the shock bolt. I mean, is not enough, and Verno eventually gets the ace for MIBR.
And smart play too. Verno backing off as well, realizing that Mazzino is going to be safe no matter what for the defuse. There's already a smoke walking on the other side. He's got contact as well for blows trying to cross over. So yeah, shock darts, even if it lands directly at your feet from the 0 to 5 meters, I think it's only 75 damage. So double shock dart still doesn't kill you at full HP. So yeah, that was an easy stick for Mazzino to allow Verno to score his ace in a row to EWC.
Now the Hunter's Fury available and the Neural Theft, so a lot of good retake options for MIBR, or just something to kick off the round with. And with Tex being left alone, he's going to play off his cameras, play off these kill trips, and now finds himself on the precipice of B. It's very much going to be waiting for the retake for MIBR to get in position. I'm going to move out of the way of this Hunter's Fury, see if Ed Lev are going to want to push past their own wall. And it's successful to strike through the heart of King. And this is going to make the job easier for MIBR when the harbor can't deny you anymore. The plant hasn't even gone through yet, so MIBR smell blood in the water, and the cove from MIBR makes it so they can focus on one lane, but somehow Spike knocks down 3. He's a force to be reckoned with. And it's a 1v2, but now make it a showdown and make it Mazzino on top for MIBR.
And Mazzino stepping up to the plate. A rare occasion as well, I'm going to have to say, because if you're looking at Mazzino and how he's been with Harbor or control plays in the past at the beginning of the partnership era of the VCTs, then yeah, he's definitely one of the best controllers that we maybe had when the partnership era started. But most recently, he hasn't always been as hot, but this time finds good value after you get the Neural Theft out from Tex. A great delay coming out here too from the utility from Mazzino, denying the walk-in, the rush into the B site, allowing to get value from Verno with the Hunter's Fury as people are getting slowed through the wall. Just a beautiful hole here that breaks the econ from the side of Leviatán, who are just looking at the 5-man hit towards this A site.
I think something missed there, but Leviatán are going to keep on trucking. And with that paranoia, confirm that onto Zekin. And now the overdrive gets this neon active. The double doors, you wish they were shut if you're MIBR, but at least you have safety. And you take a second to calm down, delay. Get drone, get sights above. You see the 3-stack of Lev. You know you have an injury. You have a ping. And Sato will still react appropriately.
Wow.
All lined up just for him.
A low by 2 and a flawless for Leviatán. That was insane how fast that was for the hit. The updraft dash over the boxes breaks the timing of any smokes trying to be thrown here on a defensive side. Gets full value, avoids even a flash being thrown by Zekin by breaking that timing. And Zekin had no choice but to try to at least go for a hero play in that front of the site, because the rest of his team were probably obstructed by utility and had to fall back. So you try to get your one, but it's Spike moving in and getting full value off the spacing that he gets gets from the slide and also his overdrive. And that thrifty that they pulled out here from the side of Leviatán actually now forces MIBR's own thrifty in round number 6.
Oh, no sheriff for you. Delitos by the Outlaw. Gets to have a commanding presence in the middle of the map. At any moment, Mazzino, I think it's best to just keep a safe position, especially when you're playing solo like this. Don't want to let this site go for free, not to Lev. Let's see if you can, if you're MIBR, if you can make it expensive for Lev, but I think it's going to be another day at the office with the types of buys we have. There's only classics left for MIBR.
And I know it's a turtle played right now at the minute mark, Leviatán, that is, because nobody has made any movement, tried to go for any trap plays. So now it's up to Leviatán to walk glitch, try to figure out where the stack is going to be. So they're going to walk glitch on 3 players moving forward. They spotted 1 though.
Ooh, like this harbor ball from MIBR, you force the defense to step forward to be in an enclosed space, and that's where Leviatán are going to profit. But it's an exchange. Multiple fights on multiple fronts, and Lev still end up closing it out. Really like how they're playing off of King here.
Nice try by Tex too. Almost got 2 kills with the classic in front of that B site. But if anything, as they try to walk glitch, the first contact that they come up with, you see Neon activate the dash. And that's two scenarios that he's doing right now. The first one, trying to see if there's going to be a repeak, so he tries to get the pick off the Outlaw. Nobody's peeking out, so he's dashing for information. And as he dashes across, he catches 2 players off the half wall, which allows for the rest of the team behind him to engage and overtake that B site. That was just very clean in the end to play against the anti-eco. Now the money's back, and also ultimates available for MIBR.
Now you have the Cascade to suppress mid, and Aspas does his job to be the solo hero on the front lines. 1v1 against Blows off basically kind of a one-way. It's just, now you have fully cleared out A if you're the defense, and Leviatán is going to be off the heroics of King, who is about to get crunched from multiple sides. He'll try to just take his one over in Nest. And it's not going to go any better from Lev. And make it almost a flawless for MIBR to keep this within 1. You're not letting Lev win streak here.
And that's nice too by Aspas. Solo holding the A site in the front. Is getting pushed up by a Neon trying to run him down, and he stuns him with a relay bolt and just gets that first duel. Blows, tries to get to another 1v1, trying to break the crosshair placement with the recon dart, but Aspas was just always too ready. Solo holding himself. I wonder if we're going to see this like right here in the replay. Look at that slide through from Spike. It gets fully crushed by the relay bolt. Just great utility by Aspas on that Neon.
Now this has been a really back and forth map so far, and I think MIBR have been really good at these inserts, kind of testing the waters, whether it's a 1v1 from Aspas in A main to really trusting Tex to be solo, but now Verno is swapping between holding Nest to helping out Tex. Especially when Leviatán are starting to get creative with their harbor walls. And speaking of which, you have Leviatán really securing in their fortress. MIBR are going to hold on to some of this space with their own walls. And Spike is already in deep at the back of the site, being a huge nuisance. You already reset the run it back from Zekin. He has to re-clear through, and there's so many spokes and hoops to jump through. The obstacles that MIBR have to face, and it's a gasp of air that Leviatán need to get the spike planted. After the efforts from Spike, he has fallen, but the rest of Lev can take the mantle and lock down the rest of the round.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a missed wall there from Mazzino in the first place as well, because when he slices over towards that A site, there's still a gap that you could just plant behind your defender's wall, your opponent's wall rather, from the attack side, and get a free plant for A main. I know it was more designed to contain towards that backside so they could fight towards that area, but it just seems here that what Leviatán kind of had in terms of timing and being over-aggressive with their double duelists, again, bread and butter for them as well. They were able to capitalize a lot of these rounds on the last face-to-face that they had against MIBR. I think getting like, what, 8 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, here on their attack side the last time. It was just the defensive side that was a little bit harder for them to take. But the value off the double duel is from both Spike and Neon definitely comes into play right over here.
Still think the MIBR defense is much improved since that 100 Thieves encounter. if that's what you're alluding to. They only had 3 defensive rounds in that match on Breeze. So MIBR have been continuing to trade blows, and now they're going to call a timeout.
Yeah.
So that they can really try to ramp things up, because MIBR are still trailing by 2. And I think Leviatán have to give a lot of respect to this.
Agreed. And corrected myself as well. It was a 6-6 half when on Breeze here between MIBR and Leviatán a couple of weeks back here when they were playing in week 4 of Stage 1 of Americas.
Oh, yeah.
But again, it was a lot of the win con was over the aggression of the double duelist too. One thing you have to praise at least so far here for MIBR is that they're doing a good job nullifying the value that Neon usually has as a jet, but Neon's going to find most of his value on the defensive side when he's going to be able to pull out the operator for most of these rounds if the economy can get built up. Right now, they need to find ways to activate Zekin a little bit more because trying to have him anchor up towards the A side, it seems to be a little bit difficult when you have that Neon updraft dash going into it, which is why after this timeout, to try to get Zekin these orbs, to try to get the control, they're actually adding resources from 3 players to help out, or 2 other players to try to take A main control, which now weakens up middle, weakens up B, and gives a chance right now for Leviatán to split this B site.
And then last second op buy from Neon. He's going to try and command mid, and barely saw any op plays from Split, but that's just the nature of Split. But if you could have an uncontested op, that changes the entire game. We also need to have these sight lines. Leviatán on this island in the middle of the map, trying to smoke things off, just trying to see if MIBR are gonna want to get information here, and Leviatán ready with their crosshairs to punish them on any sideline, but Leviatán are not getting the fights that they would hope for.
Will be the name of the game right now for sure, just to try to continue to walk contact the op from Neon. If he's not fighting and he picks towards middle, they're going to have to start making noise here towards tunnel. At least try to bait some sort of rotation out so that any inserts that they currently have on middle right now can get value.
Now just using util, pushing people off these dangerous angles. The approach is being heard. And now with blows gone from Lev, Lev are going to ramp up towards B through mid. MIBR on the other side of this half wall, and beautiful synergy from Lev to collapse onto these defenders and really take almost no damage at all from that. MIBR will try to come in on the flank, and you deny the spike, so you actually buy good time for the retake. But with the smokes up, MIBR are going to have to cross this threshold. They cut noise. The overdrive's been popped. Lev, let's see what kind of surprise MIBR can generate. And it's huge from Aspas. And he's got the power of his team supporting him. So he's really just a human bulldozer. And MIBR keep it within 1.
Yeah, again, doing a good job understanding where the soft side is and just trying to stay alive long enough and delay as much as they can here for MIBR. A lot of their resources. Also, when you realize that pop here towards this B side, they also make sure for MIBR that they could contain the lurks or any type of information and defaulting that was being inserted by Leviatán. So they punished the A side on the orb. Nothing that blows could really do there. And then look at that flood retake towards the end. That becomes super beautiful. Look at the value of that recon dart from Vernal as well. That allows here MIBR to get full information and for Aspas to do Aspas things here with this overdrive.
And Lev had such a considerable effort at the start of that round to weaken this retake as best as they could, and that's just the power of the Aspas, the power of the overdrive. And of course, the pre-nerf Neon as Lev wastes no time securing half the relay state here, having their harbor wall secure the perimeter. Now MIBR, they waste no time on the retake. Now Aspas has the op, and he's the final boss of this B site. And there's only one within here, and it's Sato having to regain control and not really give up this site. And now you just give up the whole round. You don't even have the spike.
And that's just a change in positioning too from round to round. Sometimes just moving around Mazzino with this harbor. So sometimes it's to contain if you want to farm orbs, but because Zekin pretty much already had his run it back going into this round, then you could actually now leverage run it backs to deny towards the A site, to fight back or to play the retake, and then you have your harbor that could rotate a little bit more, playing from middle, so you could actually play faster rotates and high tides to be thrown to contain, which is very similar to what we saw, a couple of rounds ago when they did that with the Vernal Hunter's Fury all the way from spawn. No way here for Leviatán to really get into the site, into plant. And that forces now King to fall back, pick up his orb, which is actually quite nice. A little silver lining, because you're now one away of getting your Reckoning into the next round.
And a neural theft running back from MIBR. This will get them tied up 5-5. And I think that ever since the timeout happened from MIBR, it's been all green for them. Now it's pedal to the metal to see if they can get the edge in this half, make it 7-5, because they just haven't been able to maintain any kind of win streak. But if they can use it, they can get a lot of value out of these ults. A first pick from Tex. He's really had a good series when he's supportive. Even in these solo situations, he's always taking down one with them. A neural theft would be huge for MIBR, but Lev are also playing really fast off this jet, and how quickly they are to jump into the site. LEVIATÁN came in prepared.
For sure. When it looked like it was going to be a strong start too for MIBR, when they started to get their money right on that third round, you could definitely see here that they're adapting on the fly to the new comp that comes out here from MIBR in this matchup. And they fight for blow, as you were mentioning before. So both of these teams are trying to, one on the side of MIBR, come out with a trap card, but at the same time trying to put into application what they've learned from 100 Thieves composition. And then for LEVIATÁN, because they faced off against that before, it's like, okay, well, we've already been here before. Can they do it as well? And so far, MIBR seems to be doing pretty decently.
Yeah. Very much a better map overall from Lev. I mean, MIBR improved their defense. Lev have improved their breeze overall. And having an op in the picture, though, from Aspas will be something that should be considered in this timeout going forward. And I think Lev just absolutely suffocating the B site. It's been mixed success, but it's more about MIBR's retake and how they're going to have the tools. Like I said, neural theft, run it back, Hunter's Fury. Lev don't have the immediate ults. I think Spike's maybe one off the overdrive, and you know, best for these entries. He's kind of checking things out today and immediately brings up the walls from the defense. Happy that you baited that out. Now what?
Yeah, interesting that they went so early too. So that's less util to hold towards the B site.
Especially when that harbor from the defense can't seal in B like MIBR have usually done. The Hunter's Fury keeps Lev at bay. And now Tex just has to keep this line up. Ooh, bit of a drive-by. Missed opportunity. Tough chance. Now Tex's position revealed. LEVIATÁN are just gonna keep him steady for now. The MIBR rush is on the menu and emerging now through the cove with the shorty. Okay, Lev, are you ready? It's a 2 versus 3 post plant, and Sato's on his last life. He needs a guardian angel, and maybe MIBR need to call 911 because Sato is playing with this food, and now it's just one. It's just blows, and he has the spike in sight, and now his vision fades to black. Aspas has been so clean.
The round in itself was so clean across the board here for the team from the macro of how they wanted to approach that round. I was trying to figure out why they were trying to throw out the high tide a little bit too early, but the positioning from Vernal playing on that back ramp by Orange in the A site, it allows for you to Hunter's Fury to deny a push from A main, but also have the strong Hunter's Fury through the corridor of tunnel. A beautiful position off that Hunter's Fury that allows here now LEVIATÁN to get funneled through the tunnel because of the high tide, for Tex to get value to isolate a 1v1 and get a neural theft for info on top of that, and they allow it allows for them to flood retake beautifully for MIBR. Just a nice little display. I think that's why we saw that timeout.
Ooh.
But now this round is Aspas having to run away.
And the overdrive gets activated as Lev sense weakness in the MIBR structure, and Neon's on board. And through all the chaos, I think Lev got exactly what they wanted. Map control, yeah, you know, some kills would be nice. I think they're setting themselves up to do just that. Neon watches the left, his duelist on the right. You reset the run it back. Information for Zek and Mazzino will thrive off of that. And the rest of MIBR, when nothing can stop them and their vision is clear. It seems like the win would be clear, but not if Sato is around. Making a 3K, the solo hero, and the last one left for Lev. And he will fall to 7-5 half for MIBR, ending with a 4-round win streak.
Nice retake once again, and chaos also towards orange. So to run it back to get information, even if Zekin gets no value off an insta pick from Neon, Paranoia gets value. They push forward to get a lot of picks, and then they're able to get the round in the end. So what was a 6-6 last time when they played Breeze against each other ends up MIBR having a pretty decent lead going here into the second half. So this is looking quite good. They're able to slow down the pacing and also weather down the storm here of this new composition that they're pulling out here against Leviathan.
And what value off of that timeout from MIBR to as soon as they brought that in, all the wins came raining down too. And just again, being patient, not panicking too much when the spike gets planted. And Mazzino Tex, everyone has been on board. So this has been really nice from MIBR, how those improvements have been made. But hey, that's only a 2-round gap between these two teams. And that's been the same 2-round lead that has happened all of Breeze. So Leviathan will be jumping on defense here very soon. I'll be excited to see that.
We drive our parents crazy. We're chasing sunsets, living each day like the last day of our life. And I know this is what we want, 'cause this is what we do. Free to tell our lies while discovering our truth. I forget that I'm down with you guys around. Everyone knows life's better with love than being alone. Consider yourself loaded for finding a way to right my wrongs. Capture, promoted, or hit the highway, just move on. 'Cause it's over, no one's upset. You sit on my trunk and watch the sunset. Consider yourself loaded, living my life the way I want.
Well, after this halftime, Lev be jumping on the attacking or on the defensive side of things, hoping to catch up in the score, I should say. And holding MIBR back will be the name of the game. And it's a really deep wall, too, from this defensive harbor, making sure that MIBR have no space to work with. And they leave because of that.
Yeah. The first high tide, too, to slow them down. So right now, it seems for MIBR, they're just trying to waste out the high tide. They still have... should be a Neon High Tide and a Phoenix Wall too if they want to cut into this B site. Now inserting Tex as well for the late lurk. And all they needed was that one smoke to come back up here for the side of Mazzino to... Yeah, take care of tunnel.
Whoa. Okay, Tex. Just causing a bit of a scene. Bit of a crime scene even over on the on the attacking side of things in mid, cutting off rotations. You see that Leviathan are pretty pissed at the guy. They address they commit 2 people to run down Tex. That will minimize time for this retake of Leviathan. We'll have 2 members at half health, but now it's clutch or kick. See if Lev can pull this off, salvage it after taking the first pistol. MIBR can depend on Mazzino with such a strong finish at the first half. Now that no defuse will go through and MIBR will continue to streak.
Very nice as well by MIBR to play that post plant too. So inserting Tex on middle, he's cutting the rotates just because they set up a little bit of a fake. When they just threw the high tide, they immediately rotated over to the site. Because it just felt like Leviathan wanted to play the flood retake. Again, the bread and butter for Leviathan when it comes down to team play on their defensive side. That said, too, once they got into the B site, the pulse plan util was nice. They threw hot hands around coves so people can't really rotate across and go for the retake here for the defense. Oh, we're about to 5-man hit. Okay, it's getting slowed by a hot hands. He should still be pretty good to hold this back.
Oh, what an angle from Ozbosh. Just so much on his plate, and he's feasting. Zekin, he wants to avenge, and man, in the blink of an eye, MIBR convert the anti-eco and have 3 rifles into the bonus.
Yeah, very clean at the end. Only losing 2 players in the process, too, and Ozbosh picking up kills on top of that when they're fighting towards that spot. But yeah, so far, MIBR having a comfortable first pistol into the anti-eco. Very similar to what we've seen on Split in the first place, but what has also been the nail in the coffin for Leviatán in the first map was not winning their gun round against the quote-unquote bonus. I'm saying quote-unquote bonus because look at MIBR. All rifles, half shields across, no outlaws. This could be a big round for MIBR.
It is, and Leviatán are just trying to gatekeep. Girl Boss and Spike just playing as front as he can, up close and personal. But MIBR trade him out, and not the most ideal fight for MIBR. Leviatán droning back in, not planted right away, and flank maybe for Neon.
Such a lot of time to work with right now for MIBR, so they could try to isolate fights, win some duels here.
Ooh, tough angle to cut there for Verno. He's been so precise, and now Zekin has to salvage the round. 1v3 now a little easier. But Neon will be keeping just a keen eye on the best spot that you want to plan and kind of just trying to predict what the setup will be for Zekin. The important 1v1 for Zekin. As soon as he tries to plan, I'm sure someone will peek, and there's just no safe place for Zekin. As soon as he even touches the spike, someone will answer. Zekin's waiting for the pivot, and almost the 1v3 was achievable. Blows. We'll deny it.
That is how good Zekin is, though. The spacing, the route that he takes, knowing where the positioning of the potential positioning where his opponents would be at. First off, getting the instant trade because of his teammate falling down earlier on in Verno, but the last two was so close. Look how close he is to get down Blows here. Blows backs literally against the wall, had to let his shot, and he was able to save that round there for Leviatán. That would have been a huge round here for MIBR, and they're looking to go aggro this round too to not give any tempo for Leviatán.
MIBR have 2 rifles here, but a lot better of a buy for Leviatán, and they're just gonna have to play for the retake. You have the Reckoning, you have a run it back. MIBR can try to be proactive here. They've boxed themselves in, and I feel like Lev are walking into the MIBR arena here. Despite having the better weapons now, the walls all come down. And Blows will give them the best chance, the best information they can. MIBR fall on the other side of the wall. Now the spam begins, and you already have Lev taking some early damage as they try to get active on the flank. Multiple angles that Lev are trying to take. MIBR, they stay sturdy. They are cemented. And Verno with a big double crossfire too. The teamwork. MIBR just one step ahead of Lev. Shots are clean across the board. MIBR to double digits, and this is getting to the red zone, Vans, and not the good kind, especially when MIBR took the first map.
The textbook round for that for MIBR is so clean, though. They put the trip for the late flank in case they block all the vision from the Reckoning and nobody wants to contest that and rotate back towards elbow. Just how they're using utility and how they think their opponent's going to rotate through the ults that they use is so nice. I was surprised too because you mentioned 2 rifles available, but Zekin had to run it back, but he only had a sheriff. I would have thought that you want to drop that for Zekin so that he gets value off the run it back in the post plant, but they did such a great job just using the Reckoning and the trip to place themselves in the perfect position on Crossfire setup to not allow Leviatán to flood back into the B main. Just so nice, dude. MIBR looks different from the VCT days of stage 1.
And they're going to look good in this round. They got a full buy versus, I think, only 1 rifle that Lev. They almost thought about 2, but I think they only ended it with 1 in the hands of Neon. And he's got to be the one that leads the charge, and he adjusts. He resets the runner back. MIBR now unleashed with the Hunter's Fury. And it splits off the forces of Lev, who take no damage from it. Aspas finding his angle. He has 2 in front. At least makes the 1 look easy. Here's the response, though, from Blows. And now, but a whisper left. And no wings left for Lev, as Aspas is just heating up, making a 4K flawless for MIBR to get up to 11.
And they're cycling ults too for MIBR. So they had Reckoning on the previous round, Zekin with the run it back in the anti-eco. Now they have a run an overdrive if needed be going into the next round. This is very nice for MIBR. Just great scaling coming up, disrespecting the high tide being thrown on the defensive side from King. And Zekin jumps through it too at the last seconds of his run it back to identify both Spike and Neon coming in through the mid double doors to just get Aspas ready for the backstab. Aspas on the top of the scoreboard in this Cerberus is Neon.
Oh, and just Lev, this is such an important round to convert, or else MIBR go to match point. The economy is shattered. Spike has been shattered, broken down. King responds at the top of his box, trying to be at the top of his game. As a Hunter's Fury, you need blows to live in this round. Wait for the moment that you can reassess this. You can even save it into the further rounds. King has been so impactful in this round. It's a 3 versus 3 as the dust settles and Spike's still in hand of MIBR. Gonna find the safest place they can to plant, and Tex is creating anything but safety in the middle of the map, and LEVIATÁN just get pulled apart from all sides. Now Neon with an op is not the easiest thing to fight with, so make it match point for MIBR and a broken economy for Lev.
And Verno got very nerdy too on how he's setting up his recon darts, bouncing it off the orange tin so that you would break crosshair placement, thinking that people have to turn around to break it, then it lands behind the wall to get some things in the back of it if anybody was alive here for MIBR to trade things up. But unfortunately, Aspas got picked off, but the rest, that big kill from Tex into middle, allows for him to get information on 2 players and the last 2 to play a 2v1 or 2v2 to perfection, especially when Neon was only at 5 HP. Now, map point for MIBR. A chance to get now a 2-0 lead in this BO5 so far.
Found you. They found my wire.
Which would be insane because MIBR already took a really convincing sweep against Crew and they get themselves in this position. And you revisit a lot of the maps that you did in the stage 1 semifinal against Lev and they look this good. LEVIATÁN have had step-ups of their own, at least compared to what Split was, but now Lev just don't have the best of buys. A lot of Guardians, half shields. I think Spike has a Judge last I checked, so maybe this hallway fight could be big. But I think Lev really gonna hesitate on what kind of risk they want to create. So now here's the protocol. MIBR though get hit by a huge paranoia from Sato, who wants to be preemptive on this wall fight. And the headshot, make it 2 for Sato and make it winnable for Lev, but he gets overwhelmed. Heroics now matched by Verno. Gets MIBR back into a winning position for this map, and it may just be up to him. Is Util being thrown in the way of Neon as he steps forward into the Lion's Den and almost had some good damage, and he may just be burned alive. And that's not a position that he wants to heat up in. King is on his way. This is where the duo ship needs to thrive. Last chance for Lev, needing to double their score. Now time is of the essence, a factor in this, and this is going to put pressure on Lev to act fast. You've marked second, but not the second. Neon needs to just go bait. King will finish off what they started. Last 1v1, and Neon will clutch at the end.
5 HP that he had the whole time too in that 2 versus 2. And you know that King is usually going for these flanks or whatnot, so MIBR never really were in a position to be like, okay, let's just 3-2-1 swing a certain angle, because they were just afraid of a flank every single time. So as the second falls, I mean, just before, let's talk about that. The utility to fight towards ladder was huge from both of these teams. Very well prepared into this matchup, but still MIBR a little bit ahead here in terms of the new comp that they bring in this matchup. Now leading, by 5 rounds to be able to 5 opportunities to close out the second map.
Yeah, and having bolstered their economy. Lev, that was their second round win of the half, and not even a full buy. Oh, and a good exchange, though, will sort of slow things down for MIBR. It inspires them, though, to catch the rest of the remnants of what's on this site. Fast and deadly is the name of the game for Aspas, now hoping to punish who is behind this quiver, and it's Aspas still in a prime position to surprise Lev. Here's a little jiggle peek, trying to still get the gun out. Blows, just falters. And it's no umbrellas left for LEVIATÁN to quell the storm. And it's a 4K from Aspas, alive, well, and series point for MIBR.
A clean one in the end, too, for MIBR. So they make that composition of the super slice go into work. Again, this is also not from the Neon nerfs, nor the shotgun nerfs. So the Neon spacing that you get right now from Aspas and from Spike is quite good when you're able to jump around the map like that. But I think it stems more than that. The preparation that they had for MIBR with no changes on the side of LEVIATÁN since the first time that they pulled out Breeze. Remember, it was Neon playing on a chamber until they played this composition for 4 other matches. And I feel like what was difficult for them to play here on their side was the defense of Breeze, because they only have a Sova to play through so many walls, so much utility, that you need the aggression to get good value in the very first place for the side of LEVIATÁN with the double duelist. But if it doesn't, and you're giving that space away for your opponents, it's just so hard to retake.
Yeah. And this is going to be an even harder series to try and retake as well for Lev, who find themselves down 0-2. And that was, you know, Breeze was always the weakest in their map pool. And it's looked better. Up next, though, we have Ascent. And that is something LEVIATÁN has picked especially for this series. And I'm going to be excited. You're going back to the fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals of the map for sure, but I think in terms of the agents coming out for both of these teams are quite different compared to the last time we saw Ascent in the map pool. Remember, we're talking about a lot of like Sova, KO, Jet, KJ, Omen as that main composition. But now we'll have a chance to talk about it after the break, but there's new compositions coming out trying to fight with aggression from Phoenix on one side, but on the other end, we'll have a chance to talk about the stage pick here from MIBR.
I thought it was real. I thought it was real. I thought it was
Taken out. Shock dart.
Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Everybody know we gon' do it like this. Straight from the underground. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this. Straight from the underground. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Everybody know we gon' do it like this. Straight from the underground. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this. Straight from the underground. Everybody know we gon' do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Everybody know.
MIBR are one map away from securing their ticket to Paris and making that road to EWC just a little bit longer for Leviathan. And revenge would also not be too shabby after what happened in playoffs.
100%. Revenge for one thing, but secondly, to say that it's actually series point for MIBR against a team like Leviathan with the performances of MIBR and Leviathan during stage 1 here of the VCTs is surprising, to lack of a better word right now, in my eyes, because of just how the nature of the season has been going on for these two teams. So MIBR looking fresh into this series so far, look prepared for this whole series. But this is, like I said, where this series is going to get decided on Ascent and on the next map here too. Has MIBR fixed up a little bit their approach into the double senti of Ascent if they're still looking to play that?
Yeah. There's going to be a big difference in comps once we get into Ascent, at least based on the most recent showings, but also just giving the shout outs to the big performers. I mean, Aspas, what a crazy 4K. I think that got him above 20 kills at that point. Yeah. Verno also consistent from map to map. He had a showing on Split, dropped over 20 kills on Breeze. Verno is not paying any taxes when it comes to the IGL department. So good for MIBR to have him.
Yeah. And Ascent, I think what was the pain point too for MIBR, especially when they played against Leviathan, the only time that they played it so far here against on the stage 1 of the VCTs, was the timings that Spike was able to take on this Neon to just punish Verno every single time. I think when you have like a composition that's a double senti that's supposed to be getting a lot of rounds for you on the defensive side, but you're struggling to get them on the defensive side, it just shows like how there's slightly fundamental flaws on funneling your opponents into Aspas's op, for example, right? You are playing sentinels on both extremities, trying to stall and slow down as much as you could, and then try to get value off the op. But it seems though Verno for a lot of those rounds on defense was holding on to that wall to be more reactive into what hits were coming out from Leviathan. But because Leviathan were doing a lot of the walk contact or instantly going to slides to open up spacing, it actually broke the timing of the util being thrown by Verno, which forfeited the whole site every single time here for MIBR. So hopefully, again, that gets a little bit corrected, and I see a little bit more proactiveness from the proactivity from the walls being thrown here on the stage.
And we're so used to watching Leviathan just kind of dominate the map in terms of map control, where they want to go. They just take every engagement with such confidence and with such precision, and it really does matter on how you perform on the day. And speaking of Ascent, this was the final map of the encounter between MIBR and Leviathan that sent MIBR down to the lower bracket when it came to playoffs. There was a Sage on the side of Verno, there was a Chamber on the side of Neon, so some very unique identities from both these teams. And at least Neon is floating on his chamber, but there's also been some comp changes, and as you should when results don't always go your way.
I was going to get super excited to see Tex playing a chamber too, but going to a Cypher, I think, is not bad. So far, 3 maps in a row, right? Stepping away from the Vice. Maybe it's just a comfort thing for him to just be more proactive around the agent that he's best on, in my eyes, which is going to be the Cypher, and it works out in my eyes. You know, you've seen how good he was able to find some trip kills, some trap kills, delay enough on that second map of Breeze as well, and now of course on the most played map for Cypher here on Ascent, outside of Killjoy of course, but Tex is definitely good at that role for that. But overall here, if you're looking at Leb and Kiwi, it's another full compositional change though for MIBR on defense.
And I think you come in doing your homework if you're MIBR. Leviathan were very good at dealing with Vice setups on the defense. Any kind of heavy, senti team when it comes to Ascent. They know how to work around it. I felt like that Leviathan win, though, on Ascent came off to a crazy pop-offs from Spike, whether it's 3Ks, 4Ks, deeper into the round to pave that into a 13-7 win for Leviathan against MIBR. And then Neon finished with 23 kills and 311 ACS. So that was a day of all time for Leviathan, but this is not the same day.
No, exactly. And because it's not the same day in terms of compositional changes too, I think it goes back to the interview that Fraud had at some point saying, man, we're wasting the talent of Zekin, not putting him on a duelist and not leveraging a double duelist for any team that he's played for in the past. And last time that they played Ascent, they had Zekin on Sova to bring back the Exet days of when he was playing Sova on this map. So now you're trying to take full advantage of it. Put Ospas on his best agent on that Jet, put Zekin to create some space on this Neon, and you could still have the same type of look to punish onto extremities with the Neon and flush them into an Ospas op. So I like this new look from MIBR, and hopefully the theory around what they bring here for this map is going to pan out. But look at the setup here on the defense, Lemon Kiwi. They're looking to fight down mid aggressively, and I thought they were going to play a 2-3-0, but they are putting Tex finally over on the A side to get some late round info.
And MIBR this series have won 3 out of the 4 pistols. Lev were able to kick off Breeze on a good foot, but didn't land on their feet when it came to how it all closed out. So Lev 2-3 split, as he pointed out. This chamber trying to push and pull towards B, but all eyes are on mid when it comes to MIBR. And they've really been heating up, especially when it came to Ospas and that 4K. I mean, what a cherry on top when it comes to Breeze. And Lev are going to spot that mid presence, and it's going to put MIBR back into submission.
But because there's been no pressure coming in from the A side and nobody peeking outside of passive looks from blows onto the tiles, they expect here that there's going to be an extremity slam here for MIBR, or sorry, for Leviathan. So MIBR falls back, and look at them. Both duelists playing back towards the spawn so they can rotate over as fast as they can.
Now it's a good read from MIBR. Have the smoke in place, and Bruno can dip into cover. Paranoia ready as well from Sato. As if Leviathan just need to keep defaulting and just keep playing around with that map control. They've been good at drawing out the util. That's why Lev are so good against playing against ironclad defenses. They know how to draw out every second and every util.
That's just unfortunate too. I think Verno misclicked his recon dart, so they don't get any mid-round info, so they have to play the retake now into the B side or to the A side with no recon.
This
At least they
high
have
ground
camera.
will be the focus of Leviathan, and now they have to break the door, and we'll see what kind of gatekeeping Lev can do. The smoke, and wow, King, what a shot right into Tex. And Lev, they try to cement themselves once again on the post plan, having all 5 still alive. As MIBR take their angles, pretty much 2-2 split. Here is the Paranoia, the drop down. Ospas takes aim, and Leviathan, they just are buying time. Enough for the spike to be what could be the nail in the coffin. And MIBR, they're going to be visiting that coffin as Lev with a very important attacking pistol under the belt.
I think it's small fundamental mistakes as well. I don't think necessarily on the recon dart, but trying to utilize what you still have in your arsenal for the retake, despite losing that recon dart for the retake. Tech still has camera up on the A site. He hasn't tapped it yet. He has an opportunity to tap it to get information for the team that could start moving into the site. Instead, he walks into a smoke and tries to 1v1 King into that smoke, loses that, and as he does so, it doesn't make it as easy for the rest of MIBR to really retake the site. Yeah, they played power of numbers. They still got a couple of trades, but it still ended up a 2 versus 1, where they had a favor in their, or a chance at least, if they leveraged the camera for that info to fight back.
Guardian, Bulldog, Stinger, and 2 pistols for Lev and this anti-eco. Really always taking a visit at mid, and MIBR just like split or happy to pain sandwich Lev in the middle of this and focus on the sites themselves. But this really opens up the wealth of options as Lev trying to carve their way through the A site just like they did before. Off the double duelists, off the curveballs, off Spike being fast, but he's been trying to play with his tempo so that he doesn't get caught out and punished.
They're just trying to figure out where a stack could be here for MIBR. Leviatan's just walking around, again, not noticing any traps, any plays moving up towards middle. Even the way that they're currently playing so far with having Neon just playing on mid around his trip or his TP, it allows for him to move around and scale up on middle if they need to. But so far, the read's pretty good here for Leviatán to move towards this B site.
They've been so good at playing these mind games, and this is why you go to this map. This is the Leviatán pick, and they're always a team that comes so well prepared for series like this, but now really needing to perform if they want to pull off some kind of reverse sweep. Is now Lev. Oh, what an encounter. The Stingers shred down MIBR on the approach, and it's as quick as that.
Good on M2 to do that damage. It almost looked like MIBR were trying to find a timing to do some econ damage, but instead they pay the price of just going through the meat grinder and adding a lot of orbs on it to Leviatán in that pulse plant. Now it almost seems that they want to fight towards the A main because Sato could be pretty close to his run it back. One away from that one with his Guardian. So they're getting ready for the paranoia, for the concuss, for the double swing out. I don't know if you want to throw a one-way, to be honest with you, but it might be good if Sato's going to throw a flash right off the corner.
Even Sato had a great game on Breeze, finishing as the, I think, the top fragger for Lev near the end as the Omen. And now there's the judge almost where the sun don't shine. A good stop from Lev as they hold on, gather their bearings a little bit. Even Mazzino is still trying to maybe finish off these injured players on the other side. Sato could be caught, and as the smoke comes down, Mazzino kind of has a 1v1. Okay, King is going to have an angle. Mazzino and Wine, though, is going to create some trouble if Leviatán continue to commit. And based on the spike being pulled over here, big moment for Mazzino.
I don't think they saw him too. King was on the top of the box, just looking across. He has a chance now to pick 2.
He's placing a smoke down, and I think Leviatán have a heads up. Isolates the one, Mazzino can't get the one. And Leviatán can keep on trucking. Now beyond the smoke, they want to get information. Lev will use the drone, and Inferno has the Odin to cause more pain points into the left side. And Sato will still get his revenge. And Verno, I don't think, can deny this bonus, so that is huge for Lev.
Huge for sure, because that breaks the econ. It was such a heavy investment for MIBR and Odin going into the previous round, and now it's 3-0 for the side of Leviatán on the attack side. I like this attempt too. The paranoia blinded so many players. You're trying to get value off the judge, but it's just a util from Sato. It's not a flash. It's its own blaze wall that he throws up that makes it difficult for MIBR to really go for a big trap play. Mazzino tried to sell a fake too by throwing a smoke into A main and find his timing, but instead should have kept that gap open for Verno to keep ADSing with the Odin so that he could swing off the contact of Verno. Instead here gave a chance for Leviatán to scale up quite easily back into the A site. Now an eco for MIBR looking to push out towards this B main to fight.
Spike is having a good game too. He's 6-1. Orbs being grabbed. Lev gonna keep someone towards spawn in case there's a walk-up from MIBR, but they haven't been too good. I think the defensive walk-ups is more of the Lev special for the 2 duelists, but not in this map. Now setting the tone towards Catwalk. That's going to be smoked off. Good adaptation from MIBR to make that more difficult to traverse.
At least
Neon hasn't had any kills yet.
Yeah, Neon's staying quite patient and prudent as he's scaling up towards the mid side. He knows how the range of the TP is a little bit tough for him to fully scale into pizza. But again, no reaction coming out from MIBR. It has to be another gamble push out here for Leviathan, and they're still reading it correctly. Back into a hit towards the A site. There's only Mazzino there, so should allow for them to get into the A site for a plant.
30 seconds
I think
left.
Mazzino can just chill out and play to break down the door, create some threats, a little bit of stress, and wait to regroup. It's, again, 3 sheriffs on the side of MIBR and 2 classics, so Lev want to close this out cleanly, and what a paranoia, what a setup for Spike, and Neon takes aim, and the rest of MIBR just trickle in and do what they can. Ideally, finishing off this Neon would be ideal, and Lev still be able to carry through a lot of these purchases into a really solid win streak going forward.
And I think if we're looking at the current round so far with the walk contact you currently have from Leviathan, as they're actually taking a lot of this mid control every single time for the walk contact. And again, it was initially the game plan that MIBR had with a double Senti and Aspas on the yacht. I think now you might finally have enough money to get that going so that you can get value off that type of play. But I gotta think that you gotta start putting players up there a little bit more often, especially when it comes down to the 1v1 that you could have between Aspas and Neon. But unfortunately, if you're looking at it, it doesn't seem like... I think you should have enough money for an operator still for Aspas. Yeah, he's still going for a rifle. To try to have him duel against Neon solo with if a chamber is going to move on that side with only a Vandal. Interesting.
I think once MIBR marked this strong mid presence that Lev, at least a lot of the times have gone for, that hop it would be amazing. But Lev, why waste time? Just get into the A site. The molly pushes MIBR off the angle, and Lev have cleared out every inch of space on the A site, and they box themselves in. A lot of good ults for them to use if push comes to shove. Speaking of shoving, MIBR paranoia pierces right through the half of the site, and the Hunter's Fury from blows is what keeps MIBR hesitating as every step they take. It's a deadly and a lethal one. Leviathan looking to make this a flawless, and Verno's gonna give him just that. 5 in a row now for Lev.
He's doing his best to try to save his Odin too, and Spike is running him down, so he has to ADS and hopefully get this pick. Oh, the bait too. Tries to wallbang him, but then Sato comes in from the market side too to get the pick. Not saving the Odin into the next round either too, so they want to keep going with the rifle aggression that they currently have here for the side of Leviathan, and finally a timeout for Coach Fraud to speak about it with MIBR. Again, they were trying to save rifles. Mazzino tries to buy a rifle here, but he doesn't have enough for a shield. This has to be, no matter what, a half buy for MIBR. It should be a half buy for MIBR and try to get the op out for the next round. Like I said, there's probably going to be an opportunity this time as well for the mind games to come out from Leviathan, right? Because now they're hitting tap. They're seeing the economy. They know that Aspas should be able to afford an op in the next 2 rounds. And that means that he's probably going to be posted up on middle, usually. So it's continuing to slam down towards the extremities and just to go in a fast tempo, because they are playing weak side a little bit here on MIBR. Yeah, Lev's timing continues to be too good to deal against.
It's so tough for MIBR to retake. And,
exactly.
And the Verno Hunter's Fury may just be kind of what tilts the scales back in their favor, because Lev did use 2 ults, that last one. But Lev are hitting the A side almost every time. And what was so strong about MIBR's defense and what brought them success on Breeze was all of these retakes.
Wow.
They got 7 rounds out of that. Now...
Okay, they're buying out of this one. They're buying out of this one, actually. Mazzino, if I'm not mistaken, has no armor and a rifle. They're playing judges, and they're just trying to get around and not play around getting an op in the hands of Aspas. That's so interesting.
This will change how they approach the map too. Just playing as up close and personal as they can. And Lev, I mean, they don't know, so they take that mid-map control that they prioritized before. Taking down the trips. Gonna get MIBR nervous towards the market side. Maybe trying to get aggressive as MIBR is setting up their jet for a B main push. But Lev gonna stick to what's worked with them to get into tree. And now this is where the second judge could really ring in. He was incredible on split when it came to moments like this. Slightly pushed off the angle, and you just don't know. Is there going to be a flash from the Phoenix? You gotta be careful. You know that MIBR are desperate. So Lev giving a lot of respect to these close range quarters.
I mean, they've already shot a judge buckshot in the early rounds, so they know that Zekin's there. So they just fall back, split into the B side. The Aldrome gets info on B main too.
Oh, Ospas, how is he alive? The mobility of this jet still has wings underneath him. And man, that's why you need Ospas in this 2-for-1. Now, a showdown to determine if Lev will continue to streak on or MIBR just dead already. Mazzino, 1v1 against Neon. There's a wraparound from Neon, so Mazzino, is he gonna see that the spike is still down and the adjustments, but the rifle's better than the pistol, and Mazzino gives MIBR a round.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I wonder how many bullets were left in the mag for Neon too, because he had what, the Vandal to work with. He tapped through the wall twice, but then unfortunately here the Headhunter doesn't connect. He felt the pressure of the time too, only 10 seconds remaining to try to win the 1v1, but now it is still Mazzino winning it, and that force buy that they have allows for them to get the round, but at what cost? Look at this buy that they have. Thankfully Ospas has Blade Storm, but now it's Verno with no armor, and any type of round that comes in right now, especially with an op on the attack side too for Leviathan, could make it difficult right now for MIBR to really get some good ground and space here on this round.
Lev having that mix crossing up into market really made things scary for MIBR. Like, I mean, Ospas got pinged and floundered and still pulled off a double kill despite that, and that's why he's just a veteran. Leviatán have already activated the run it back, and they're already carving their way through the A side. Neon will take his moment to shine against a jiggle of the Neon, and Zekin's judge, and now he gets to upgrade to an op. Leviatán, though, meanwhile, have their spike playing chicken against the Hunter's Fury, but that may be a very valuable delay from MIBR until Sato settles him all down. And you'll have a spike plant soon, but maybe Lev just don't feel safe enough to do this. Not enough confidence in this hold, and without spike, I would not be comfortable either. So now it's a deathmatch, a bloodbath, and the door being closed. Lev have no way to escape, so now they flip the map and take a chance at B.
30 seconds left.
And an Earl Theft gets the info 2 on a 3v2. Blows has to come up huge, but he just got caught.
Spike planted. One enemy
Salvageable. But now a 1v3, it's tough, and just needing to live, they have to cross into you. The teleport is not gonna fool this team,
Oh my
but
gosh.
the crosshairs are solid. 1v3, Inferno was half HP. Denies yet another clutch from the left side, and he'll look for an upgrade before getting, especially that up. That's even better for MIBR's defense.
Another one of those duels that goes IGL to IGL that just maybe reminded me of the split game between King and Verno, where Verno got the upper hand again. This time too, I don't like the pathing from Neon this time around in front of that B main. He just walks straight into the corner instead of wide peeking and jiggle peeking along the wall here to try to see if anybody was going to play close range, but that's the nature of the patience held by Zekin in that corner with that judge. You can't expect that at all. And then he's able to take him down easily. And then MIBR stays as a group. They fought quite well. They got the information off the neural theft, and then they get the round. And also, as much as I critiqued into the bad economy management for MIBR, well, that op that they just picked up allows Ospas to finally get it through for the first time this half.
We'll be watching Catwalk with that. Offensive op bought again from Neon. It's going to try and angle this a bit better when it comes to B main, but there's a deeper camera this time, and that pings out Neon, and he's in a bit of trouble. Thankfully, there's no duelist to swing on him, but it does keep Lev
Deploying drone.
towards their spawn and not in a comfortable spot.
Enemy mark.
Aldrone only sees Neon as well, so Ospas walking back towards middle could be in a great position. Depends if he still has a dash to work with to try to move through the smoke, or he's just going to wait it out. Yeah, he doesn't have the dash anymore, but still has the crossfire help from Zekin.
As Lev just crosses into mid, once this smoke dissipates, MIBR could have a real chance. The paranoia creates a good fight now on multiple fronts. MIBR could look to demolish this Lev central hold. And King, he has to pull off some heroics here, following through,
down A.
and now drops a spike in an impossible spot. And this was already looking pretty doomed for Lev. And MIBR Post timeout. This is just like the previous map on Breeze. They have a timeout, and MIBR starts streaking, and this is happening again.
Yeah, interesting too how it pans out as well. I thought it was going to be, you know, a timeout to oil back the gears, set the cart back on the right path, but at the same time they went for an off-road decision, going for a forced buy, small shields, no shields across for certain players, and still getting value in rounds. So it came down to good protocols to making sure that those that don't have armor could still be useful into the trades and into the fights, and it's working out. So the conversation from Fraud to continue to fight with disrespect against Leviathan works out.
No camera for MIBR. Definitely knowing there's some trouble here. Shock bolt at the ready, already causing some damage to Lev. And Market is cut off. Good walls, but even better from Spike to get the first blood. And what a good catch off the teleport of King. As soon as that wall expires, there was such a small window for Leviathan to traverse. And MIBR looking to poke and prod. Now they start to surround this site. And Leviathan, they try to fend for themselves. It's a 2v2. Shots are nice. A spike being planted would be even nicer through the paranoia. Mazino swings a little too early. And Neon steps up when they needed to. Needed him to the most. And speaking of people having a good day, Verno 1v2. Yeah, he swings this angle, but there is the apple. It misses. Half HP. One down, one to go. Blows ahead of the game or Lev.
Nice try by Verno too. Also winning the fight against the confidence of Neon re-peeking in the same angle when crosshair placement was already there. I mean, he is the type of player that when it comes down to reaction time, even if your crosshair is placed at the right spot, Neon could still take you down. Verno's quicker on the trigger and almost was able to win that one too, but thankfully you kept baiting the spike tap with blows, and he's able to win this fight right over here, thinking that Verno was thinking that I was going for the full stick. And that saves here the round for Leviathan. 6 rounds on the attack side, looking quite good.
And an op in this from Ospas. Gotta be careful, because Leviathan could be quick to suffocate you. Bring the speed, and as well, Spike wanted to get close. Zekin punishes, take double kill off the judge.
Ridiculous.
The Zekin special, it's still tasty.
Revealing area.
And Lev aren't able to build up from the momentum they look like they could have started. All they did was stop MIBR from going too crazy. But Lev are still the ones in the lead, and by a good margin, so Sato now faces the wave of MIBR and will wave goodbye to the round.
Ridiculous as well that Zekin is able to get so much value off of Neon. I mean, he's only 5 kills, but those kills that he's gotten as well for the last couple of rounds since that timeout with the Neon judge has been such a pain point for Leviathan to deal with. He's at the right places every single time. Remember, front B site, 1-on-1 against Neon with an op. Takes him down. Holding down tree when you're trying to scale up on that side for Leviathan. Denied. This time, run it back towards the A main. Denied by Zekin with the judge as well. Even if Sato was last one remaining, Zekin did the damage for the people behind him. So he's reading the positionings at the right spot right now as is Neon to not allow Leviathan to get that timing play that they were so good at the last time these two teams faced against each other. And also how it started this map. The timing was still so good for Leviathan with their aggression, but now it's just being stalled every single time by this Neon.
And I think this timeout is great for Lev because it's just not been clear what the strengths are, because it's so sketchy going towards anywhere near A with, like you said, Zekin's judge or just Mazito's angle around tree. And Lev, when they try to leverage Neon, this chamber on attack, which is, I guess, its weaker side, it's hard to play around that teleport towards B main. It's hit or miss how he encounters the stack of B, which has been ever so dynamic for MIBR. How many members they keep at B? Sometimes they're very forward. Sometimes it's a more passive defense at B for MIBR. So if Lev could really get a good read on this B defense, and there's only a small window they have to work with when it comes to these walls and how Lev are trying to slice things up, and now they're trying to slice up this defense, and they just put a stranglehold on MIBR. And Spike brings out the finger guns, and MIBR will have to build a response, but now smoked off. They'll have to sync together. Zekin with the judge would love to get up close and personal, have the speed to take one down. It does initial damage, and the MIBR follow-up just isn't there. They still have to scope out main and all the exits that Lev could be at. Not expecting all four to still be there in the Ritas, right? There's threats on all sides on the Lev post plant. And the solution is not clear for MIBR's retake. But it's Lev that really fixed up how they wanted to approach B.
Still trying to go for it, though. Able to make it a 3-on-2 in favor of Leviathan. Now, finally, you're just looking for exits. The op is still posted up here. It's going to be a round for Lev. It'll make it 7 now. It doesn't matter if they're losing bodies in the process. This is still a lower buy that they had going into this round. Yeah, a thrifty round that they won, too. And holy crap, was that fast by Spike rushing down here with the overdrive. And it almost felt reminiscent to how they're able to break that timing from Verno playing as a Sage. He gets caught with util in hand, still trying to throw shock darts. And instantly, as he's about to get the recon dart out, overdrive already takes him down. Hunter's Fury to support towards the back of the side as well. And that was just a nice little round drafted out by Leviathan to leverage the ultimates and to convert a round back in their favor.
I mean, what an ult from Spike. Lev took a timeout. They needed to crunch down on B, and so they did. Now hoping to make this an 8-4 half. Still having the op in the picture. Op v op, though. Aspas will be in mid. Smoked off currently. As a shorty as a backup here. And Neon steps up. 31 HP on the hunt. Try to get the concuss. Spike wants to finish off what he started. And
No
Aspas
way!
was trapped. And you're trapped in there with him. Sato gets the last laugh, but that was anything but a joke. As MIBR did more than we expected in that moment.
Dude, that was an insane shot by Aspas, too. That's like a pickable peak that usually shouldn't come into your favor when getting stunned at the same time, yet he has the crosshair at the right spot. Wins that fight and slows down the tempo once again from Leviathan just by that shot, because it was so much util to try to take him down, and he was still able to take one down with him. So now there's no Neon to get space. You only have one flash available left here for Sato, so you have to make the best use out of it, which is why they're now grouping towards the tree, but there's a trip and a high-low
30
to try to
seconds
stall them.
left.
At least when you don't have a Neon, you have to take your time, and you'll see the trip. Paranoia out. Verno, you're ready to layer up on this. Mazzino swings off of that. The recon gives him all the information he needs to stay in the safety of a smoke. 12 seconds. Leviathan just have to... Leviathan need to brute force their way into the A
One
side.
enemy remaining.
And Zekin... Oh, he wants to prevent the spike from being planted, and it's just delaying the inevitable. A fantastic job from MIBR making this a 5-7 half, and it's as close as it gets.
The second with a judge again, but most importantly, Aspas winning that round previously with that operator was beautiful. Outside of that, though, fully blind, spamming through smoke. That's just the nature of the game as well, of playing a set and covering up here towards the mid catwalk. So very nicely done for them to stall that on their side and also making it very close too. Although still only 5 rounds on the defensive side, but they are playing double duelists instead of double sentinels. So that might turn things around here on their attack side.
Just that 5-0 start from Lev was getting a little bit out of hand, and MIBR, you know, made it pretty close despite how things started. But MIBR will be jumping on the attack, and we'll see what they have in store after this break.
One enemy remaining.
Excited to get into the second half. Level B on defense, and I think this will be a better side for someone like Neon and anyone with an op 2 on that side.
Yeah, I think the Phoenix too it's a great way to overcompensate by not having like a KO into your double initiator. You could flash into close range battles and get it done, but the positioning from Leviatán is just to play it fairly passive, the jump spot towards spawn, and very similar to MIBR, try to get the fast rotates on the extremities by holding from spawn.
He's at Neon wall to go on the approach, and what a shot to catch Spike, who's kind of dangling over there. And man, just not a single kickback too from the Lev defense. This is gonna be an issue. And when it rains, it pours, turning into an actual hemorrhage at this point. A flawless pistol. MIBR on the catch-up. Speaking of Neon, he'll see better days when he's not in a 1v5, but collecting all the ult orbs you can be how you set yourself up for the future. There we go. And the Zekin is the one who gets it done too.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part too. When you're thinking about Ascent, when you know it was first introduced and you're playing double initiator with a Jet controller and Killjoy, it was very defender sided because it was not necessarily lack of util, but you know, you were relying a lot on Jet on the attack side, and it's not the best and easiest agent to play on the attack side. Usually you're using Jet a lot for the opportunity to op aggressively on defense. But now with the changes, with the Neon, where it's not being nerfed yet, we're still playing 12.8. That fast aggression of double duelist allows for this to tip the scales to be a little bit more attacker sided these days. And you just saw it from that pistol round as a pure example.
And MIBR have converted every single attacking pistol they have been on, so the strength in numbers, the strength with guns like that, the Stinger, the Vandal, whatever you need, Leviatán wished that they had. And now Lev will falter. At least it's quick, mostly pain, but quick, and that will tie things up 7-7. As late to the party as Neon on his way.
Yep. Now you're seeing similar pastures of the 4-1 setups with the MIBR style, but your Senti has no choice but to walk back, doing a little bit of a walk of shame, literally, pretty much going back into the A side and looking at his positioning, just looking at here for this round to not give the ults. I mean, look at Verno, he's already really close to his Hunter's Fury, 3 pips away. Wouldn't be surprised here to see how Zekin's doing so far too in terms of his kills that he's picking up so far, but MIBR did a great job to anticipate some sort of a trap play set up by Leviatán towards A main. I think to use a bit of util or some bodies to bait out the flash, and then he all swung after the flash thrown by Sato, and then everybody just gets picked off by better weapons from MIBR's side. So easily making it a 7-7 scoreline. And hell, to see this in terms of this, look at that, see the flash, nobody gets affected by it. And look how easy it becomes in the end for them to take that. But yeah, this might potentially be at this point of how well MIBR is playing, a potential 3-0 in this series, which is, for me, unheard of. Right now for MIBR,
Yeah,
this is potentially that super team.
Really. And you can tell just how hungry MIBR are to just attend a global stage like Paris, one of the biggest Valorant tournaments of the year. And wow, Zekin's still as fast as ever. MIBR, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Send Zekin in to bait, makes the space, assesses the site, and the rest will follow through. And Lev retaking always down 1 or 2 is such a pain point. And still have one of your stars on the other side of the map. Neon will be on his way, so technically you only have 2, and Lev are just gonna abandon the mission.
Yeah. I feel at this point, it's hard to retake under 3 versus 5, but MIBR have downloaded the strat book pretty much here from Leviatán, because they are trying to have, as I mentioned before, this Phoenix trying to flash and fight, but it almost looks like it's become readable of how Sato is currently playing it. And they also realize right now that Leviatán consistently plays this 4-1 setup with Neon solo towards his B site, or maybe even like a 1-1-3 or something like that, right towards the setup here for Leviatán on defense. So MIBR could just keep slamming A, and if a timeout comes in where you're trying to put the op onto the other side, well, this is just easy for MIBR to adapt. It could be, once again, the Leviatán being readable.
A 7-4 lead from Lev has now been flipped on its head, and MIBR are up by 1. And MIBR, when they've won a pistol, they have converted 3 out of the 4 bonus rounds, and that just sets them up for the long haul. And now this is where you can maybe have some shenanigans from Lev. And Spike, I think, has had a good game to try and shake things up, to have an aggressive defense, but it's hit or miss when it comes to A. We'll check out B, though.
They'll just walk contact.
Oh, Neon, good showing now. He'll just get back to safety. Aspas on the hunt. Market's gonna be a threat. Aspas wants to close the angle. And Lev play as safe as they can. They play for the retake, and Neon's not going down without a fight. Still, 2 kills for the Headhunter is huge, and now Lev, they can just finish off what Neon has started. Drone to spot 1, especially that jet on the hallway side, as Mazzino wants to wrap around, give him some support. Watch the top of the site.
Just looking to break recon too from the opposition from Aspas, but he just got flashed out. They got a turtle up in the site now.
Oh, it's just a no man's land, and Spike will still push through and make it convincing if they can. And man, what a pushback! Such good resistance! A 1v1 to determine it all. Verna will stay as hidden as he can until King digs him out. And just like that, Lev are back in the game.
It almost felt like Vernal confidently was trying to swing us out of that smoke because King was potentially low in terms of bullets left in the magazine, but I think King just picked up another rifle just in time too, to finally get a third time's the charm of the IGL versus IGL 1v1 that comes in the favor of Leviathan at an important moment in this series for them to stay in this game, tying up this map, but still trailing behind by 2 maps in the BO5 is Leviathan. But that was almost a 3 versus 5 cleanly won here by MIBR if it didn't come down to that single duel that King has just won. So MIBR are feeling it so far. Mazzino stepping up to the plate, 20 bombs so far on this controller.
Already. It feels like map's not even over, and Neon purchases an op in this round. It's made the magic happen, but all eyes are on how this Sova, how Blows takes the pressure here. He'll have King teleport to his side, but it feels like the crime has already been committed. MIBR evicting everyone like MIBR or Lev Rent. And look how much MIBR have something to say to this team. They are mad that Lev sent them into the lower bracket in playoffs, and MIBR will be back in the lead just like that.
And look at the setup. A 4-1 setup with a chamber solo on A site, and it's a 5-man slam from MIBR. They just went from simple conditioning of fighting towards that A main. Yes, even the last round, it was still a B hit that they lost. They almost won that one, and they wanted to continue to say, hey, there's no way they're going to think we're going to re-hit the B site when we finally lost a round here on an attack side, so let's just hit B again. And the utility was actually perfect once again for MIBR to dispatch the defense here of Leviathan. Neon trying his darnest to save his operator, and Mazzino was the one hunting him down. Why not? Like I said, he's feeling it hot so far on this map of Ascent. I like here for every single map so far, we had a different member of MIBR really putting up numbers. Zekin on the first map, Aspas on the second. This time, Mazzino.
And this is such a good map, even though this is Lev's pick, but for MIBR's attack, they're so explosive on how they get into the site. You have 2 of the most mobile agents. You have the Jet and the Neon that just fully take over, and I think Aspas has created such good space and opportunities, and there hasn't been the immediate response from Lev, just trying to watch back. They kind of lose someone in main almost every time, and then Market gets smoked off. It's really been hard for Lev to pull through.
The first time too, slowing the tempo and defaulting more for MIBR. Walk glitch into the smoke, right into Neon.
Oh, well, Neon right into Mazzino after that. And now he's on the back foot, and Zekin's on the hunt. Looking like prey out there, and Zekin will lead MIBR towards A, and I guess plant himself. Why not? And the overdrive could be available. Lev still have 4. And MIBR in a more even position now, so needing to invest. The drone revealing how close Lev are. Zekin creating space, doing so quietly, ready to receive and watch the door. MIBR also have their ops smoked off. Verto is creating such a ruckus. Spike deals with it. Spike deals with 3, which has the sheriff. Are we serious? This is an insane turnaround for Lev to tie it up.
What the hell just happened? The concuss was specifically to hit towards Hell and try to isolate Vernal. But how the hell did he land those 2 other shots right in the front with the sheriff? Was there util behind that lowered the HP? Because that was one-shottable, I guess, from Spike's team. I didn't see like a bunch of headshots on the kill feed. And unfortunately, hopefully it's going to be maybe a post on Twitter later on for Spike to see, for us to see that highlight reel from Spike, because that was insane. How that was instant deaths from the side of MIBR on the flood back from LEVIATÁN on the lower buy, by the way. Yeah, they invested in the operator for Neon, but the rest didn't have that much, and they were able to turn it around and still keep this game to a tied scoreline.
That little highlight reel Spike put on gets him the overdrive, which is going to be a huge boon if invested. Because now the leads have been traded back and forth. And it's Lev with a much-needed confidence booster. Now the paranoia will get Neon to teleport back, and MIBR, what a resistance they are facing. A brick wall, it's ironclad from blows on the Odin. And this sets MIBR so far back. Maybe this market position will give them a sense of safety. That's always been a big pain point. As Lev, it's how they like to push back. Speaking of that, run it back. Oh, it is going to clear through market. There's the check from Aspas, and now you know that run it back will be towards the back of the site, and Neon's gonna have his best showing, but he'll show himself out. And MIBR now lead in numbers, and we'll get the spike down.
What a great opening by Aspas too, picks up the off as well. Prime position for the post plant.
Okay, the Neon wall cuts things off. Spike wants to cut down some heads too, and he's got so many targets and just couldn't focus. Down one, had him low, but not low enough. MIBR back in the lead.
Yeah, we were starting to see some very good Valorant from both of these teams so far here for the last couple of rounds. It's not necessarily brawly, it's just the micro plays from a lot of these players. You know, patience with the placement, the cloud burst as well to block that that turret, but not overextending going into the B site, knowing that there's going to be an op in there, knowing that Sato has to run it back, and then they still were able to almost make this close and winnable here for Leviathan. I just love this back and forth that we're seeing from both of these teams so far. Now MIBR back into a mid control, but fastly going towards this A site.
Going back to what worked for MIBR before, but Neon here to cross up MIBR. Gotta look both ways before you cross the road. You gotta look to what this Hunter's Fury could do. It's got MIBR floundering, hoping to keep their heads above water. MIBR now trail by 1 in terms of numbers. As soon as they can set themselves up for it. Now they path more safely towards A. This overdrive could be... breaks down Lev.
Could have been ahead by 2 as well, but Zekin did the great escape, dodging all that util in Hunter's Fury. So that gives a chance right now for the rehit towards the A side with the Neon at the point to create the space.
Okay, I'm gonna do a Zekin impression. A good catch, but a better response. MIBR quick to trade and quick to clap back. But wait, the poke and the prod through the smoke. Sato is a threat, and Lev are weakening MIBR to their knees at this point. And the lead is not going to be kept for much longer. Fun placement of the wall there and delays the spike. And those crucial seconds could make the difference. As Lev on the high ground get vision. Nice swing, but more numbers from Lev tie things up.
MIBR is trying to get a little bit more fancy too on how they're trying to work the middle back out to catwalk. Just again, we talked about continuous great conditioning from MIBR in the first place for the A site hits, B site slams. Like 8As and B2Bs have always been very good right now for MIBR. But one thing that stays in common out of all of the rounds so far for MIBR on the attack is fairly fast tempo between from Zekin and Aspas at the beginning of these rounds, and it seems as though Leviathan are a little bit more ready to stall that first wave of aggression and even getting kills on top of it, which is making it a little bit harder right now for MIBR to have a clean footing into the executions, and it comes down to these nasty brawls to try to get the round back for the attack side of the Brazilian organization.
Yeah, and Lev have a bit more wiggle room when it comes to the economy, so the more the rounds trade, all depends on how clean the team wipe will be. 4 versus 4 now as MIBR on the approach, and a big moment for Mazina. What a map for him. He's at 23 kills, make it 25. Allowing MIBR to get the spike down. Rotations are coming in. This is Tex having a moment. Stop Neon from getting through, and the camera's a good distraction. Shiny object, and a good shiny round 2 for MIBR.
And because we haven't contested middle too much here for Leviathan, or trying to find something at the very beginning of these rounds, that's why Tex just holding out towards that fridge quite often in the mid round gets value this time around, because they never know where the insert is from that lurk of the Cypher. And that also is a big pain point to the current setup here of Leviathan on the defense. You're definitely seeing that they're not trying to play with too much space, and because they're just trying to be more reactive around the Phoenix Splash and the Neon Stun if they're trying to fight towards the extremities. And that's why like these fast slams are working from time to time here for MIBR, because they're not heavily contested. They have so much map to work with and other places to pivot to, even if they lose the first wave, because they could play with inserts.
Uncontested op 2 on the side of Neon, who's being caged off right now, and this is the Odin approach in 2 from Verno. He's gonna get vision on the exact numbers here. Now spotting both, and almost a collab there as Neon claims 1. Good first blood. This is how you need to leverage your chamber at all costs, and MIBR hoping to punish. Zekin in a position to do just that, but 10 HP, he better take a seat, and at least the team will bail him out. As Lev barely at the safety of this closet. The smokes are the only thing that will deter MIBR, but the bullets will hail down on the safety of Lev. 3 versus 3. Match point almost for MIBR. The shot bolts get Neon so low as Sato and King emerge and make this in Lev's favor.
Oh man, it was basically a spam fest between the two smokes in the back of the B site. And almost that second recon dart being able to take down Neon, which definitely would have activated the speed of MIBR trying to get into the site. Zekin can drop down. He's already down to 10 HP trying to move in at that spot. So he was trying to watch the flank. You were hoping to get lucky by spraying through the smokes, but you didn't. And it's going to be Leviathan once again. Look at how this half has gone in that second half. Back and forth every single time for every team, or for each team rather. And now it's tied 11-11. A timeout from Fraud trying to just figure out what they could do here. Coming out of it fresh. Is it just going to be back into the tried and true of a 5-man slam that found in a lot of success in the early part of this second half?
Sato's impact kills continue to impress me, whether it's when he was the Omen on Breeze to now on the Phoenix, and you just didn't want to cower into submission when MIBR, their offense is so scary to go up against because it's so fast and you have to just always think on your feet. And Lever also facing series point from MIBR, so any mistake here is costly. And this is a good time for, well, it's the MIBR timeout technically, but I think Lever are happy to take a chill pill here and really perfect what could be the final rounds of the series.
Zekin getting a buy from his teammates as well and not going with a judge here to try to slide, take space. Look at all these pings on middle. They're trying to punish that right away.
Gonna be for match point, series point for MIBR, and they already get so suppressed towards their own spot. Look at this map control from Lev, just full sending Sato. And he falls back. No kills, no damage towards MIBR, and forces them to rescale through the map though.
Shark attack attempted there by the defense of Leviathan, and a beautiful cage as well from Tex to just not allow Lev to get any value off that crunch. Now they lack utility to even stall in the second wave, so the walk contact from MIBR could be huge here.
The Odin from Lev, when it finds the right moment to spam, could be really crazy. This is not the right moment to drone though. MIBR, they just walk in and own the place. They've signed the deed. And that lapse is gonna cost Lev the round if they don't pull off this 3v5, and have King is also half HP. And MIBR have time to get ahead of the game, and Lev are not gonna bother. They're just gonna save.
And what, 20 seconds into the round when they went for the shark attack, you looked at the radar and you saw a couple of players towards B main, 3 players towards middle, and they had so much map control. And then they realized here that MIBR are all stalled and held back towards the spawn. And what do? They fall back themselves. They go back towards the angles. They're trying to just turtle back in instead of just blocking that line and try to get aggressive vision here, especially when they heard the out drone come up from top middle. So it allows, again, the walk contact back from MIBR, just re-walking into the spot that was pressured in the first place, which is, for me, a mistake there from LEVIATÁN and how they played the macro for that round. Look at the values Zekin gets from sliding through, just times the drone, nobody there to support him, and it allows Ospas to get the pick onto Sato because you're not coordinated with each other to play off the space that you get. So now another round that goes back in favor of MIBR, and they're putting themselves at map in series point. 1 round away to be our first team in the Americas to qualify to EWC in Paris next month.
And to be amongst the best, and what a showing from MIBR. The sweep against Crew was already proof enough to us that they have leveled up since the stage 1 playoffs. But sweeping Lev, who went to the finals, this is insane. On also, you know, one of them being Lev's weaker map there on Breeze, but to win on Split was definitely the alarm that sounded for me that MIBR are the real deal, and they so hungry for a global stage, and I think they knew that their potential was higher than what they put out in playoffs, and this is the result that they wanted all along.
Backs against the wall now. Timeout called by Coach Jean as the assistant coach for LEVIATÁN. Op is still in the hands of Neon. They saved 3 weapons in the past. Guardian has to be purchased by Blows. And MIBR are once again looking to play fast from the tiles into a mid control, potentially even on catwalk again. Because Vernal's setting up that recon for tree. It's a fake, actually. Look at this.
Oh. Lev, they have been the ones that have been trying to throw curveballs, and MIBR, they can punish this op. What Neon can do with this op will determine potentially the whole series. He's been good at getting his 1 and escaping. He's had good backup from Blows, but the paranoia already forces the op to disengage, and no picks yet. 5v, well, I guess technically 4v3 now on this side until everyone rotates back in. Spike and now 3 on the site. MIBR not liking their chances on this. They're thinking about leaving, and they're waiting for the re-clear.
Mazzino just picked up an orb, and Zekin made it towards tree. So what they could do right now is, if Zekin wins this fight, they could TP towards the A side, but they just lost it. Now you have to commit towards B, potentially.
And now this is do or die with MIBR in a 2 versus 2 for the win, and Blows has been tagged up. He's separated from his duo, and this is where MIBR power of friendship goes in, and Blows doesn't need anybody else. OT 4K. Lev are still here.
Switching sides.
Blows with the Guardian. The broken buy. The only one with the broken buy for that round saves it for LEVIATÁN to push this into overtime. And again, you saw the vision of what MIBR was trying to do. Zekin got the insert. They tried to double pump by having that dash into the doorway for Ospas to just hold that switch. If Zekin won that fight, everybody pulls back from that B site except for Ospas, so you can try to cut rotates. But unfortunately, Zekin loses the biggest fight of the round on tree against Sato. And it allows here Blows to just get that clutch in the end, just being ready. And you know, even at a disadvantage, this team has firepower.
And Blows has been such a selfless player, too. He's just been putting everyone else in the spotlight, and he just goes into that round with the Guardian and ends up being the hero for Lev. Now it's Lev on the attack. They had that 7-5 half. Looks strong here, and Verno, the Odin special, we know him well for it, but Tex alone and off the kill trip. It does exactly that. Pulls the trigger, curveball ready, Lev flash in, but they're fully pinged out. They're trapped, they're crunched, and MIBR need to go in and execute, and that's where Zekin will be summoned, and Lev, oh, they just fall. They walked into the trap card of MIBR. And just 1 against the world.
It's Sato,
no
though.
Safety. It is Sato. He is the GOAT. He knew he was destined for better things, and this is not a good round for Lev. And that's MIBR match point, series point.
Match point.
Now MIBR has one more chance again to close this into a 3-0 against Leviathan in a qualifying matchup for the road to EWC. A 1 versus 3 by Sot, who was trying to keep the dream alive. Tried to go for a fake tap, but MIBR is just one step ahead in this fight. Even though it's looking like it's going back and forth, the macro around MIBR is actually quite good to put themselves in a great position every single time you're on this map.
MIBR back on the attack. Paris ticket on the line, leaving Tex on the other side of the world, and he's been good on his off on his own, but they are committed to this A push. Drone checks out Wine, so no vision when it comes to A. No catwalk presence from MIBR. It's going to be that suffocating attack that we know MIBR for. It's been mixed success. That paranoia is so well timed, though, for Lev. King blinds most, and he gets away with one. He's traded. Zekin has made the space, and Ospas needs to maintain it, but the reinforcements of MIBR are cut off from the flock, and Lev built the wall, and Tex has to try and clutch 1v2, and the 2 players he has to deal with are at a crossfire, and now Tex has been spotted. Lowe's is maybe going to step into this cage. He's going to play on the outside to play off his teammate. Tex setting a trap, but now gets vision, plays with his food, gets the tap, and gets it done for MIBR! Revenge is sweet, and a ticket to Paris is even better.
And salvation for Tex as well to clutch a 1 versus 2 to allow MIBR to be our first team of the Americas qualifying to the road to EWC in Paris. Big congratulations to MIBR, coming again well prepared in this whole series. New compositions in all 3 maps, and it worked out in their favor. The extra time that they had between stage 1 to this matchup where it mattered, they came out swinging and they came out strong. And Tex, well, he's proven all the doubters and the haters wrong there.
It's just the impact that Tex has, again, not quantity but quality, from the split pistol to 1v3 that he had at that moment to the 1v2 he had there. He has really been a composed player for this team that doesn't get appreciated enough. And I mean, we could appreciate everyone on this MIBR team. They just swept Lev. We went to the stage 1 grand final.
Insane.
This is an insane result. And it's Mazzino almost dropping a 30 bomb. It's Ospas over 20. It's consistent across the board.
Yeah, let's talk about that third map too, right? We talked about the change in composition that they had here going into this map of Ascent, where they played double Senti in the past, where it didn't really work out. They were getting off timing by Leviathan with the double duelists that themselves were running in Spike and Sato. But this time around, there was a little bit of struggle from time to time as well, where you still got caught with util in hand while you have the aggression of Leviathan on the attack side. But overall, though, MIBR looked prime in this map, and I think the agent change really again played to the strengths of every single one of these players. I mean, Mazzino going back to a controller as an Omen, where he's strong as that agent. Ospas as a duelist. Zekin maybe not going to be like the Zekin from Neon. I mean, especially in this meta, you'll definitely see Zekin on his Neon a lot, but usually you see him a lot on like a Raze or something like that as well to put a lot of numbers up. But he played his part. But most importantly here too, the information that Tex is able to gather was quite nice. I mean, props to the whole team and the preparation from Coach Fraud.
Yeah, and for also MIBR to win 2 of Lev's map picks. And also on one of the maps that MIBR struggled with when it comes to split. They picked it before and got humbled by Lev, and that was one of the stronger maps for Lev. And then you had a really solid breeze from MIBR. We knew that that was going to be tough for Lev, but hey, they always made it close. And man, was that overtime ever close. I mean, Lev forced overtime, but just couldn't close it out. A huge effort from MIBR across the board. And now they get to go to a global stage, and I think that's just incredible for this team to have manifested that. They are so hungry to be able to prove themselves.
Yeah, and again, game plan, if you're looking at these 3 maps, right? It didn't go to a 5 mapper. I wish we would have seen some fracture, though, to be honest with you, because that would have been a nice little defensive battle from both teams with different compositions. But it just comes to show how good MIBR was going into the series. Maybe people are questioning Leviatán picking up Split as that first map. They probably saw the weaknesses of MIBR with a Tex playing as that Vice. But when he came out with the Chamber, the Cypher, when they realized as well how good Zekin was of trying to find space as a Neon with the Judge on top of that, again, it almost feels like the preparation was not only on compositional changes for MIBR, but also the antes of finding value and how, you know, Leviatán are moving around that map, and they took full advantage of that here for MIBR.
Absolutely, and just huge calling for Verno. He didn't put up like over 20 kills, I guess, on Split, but the amount of clutches that he did on the Fade, there's so much to set up for your team. And, you know, we were casting Verno on his come up, and I'm glad that he's just really found his place in the VCTs, and now being on a team like this where he has to pull everyone together, and especially on just such a good team. I don't know what else more to say. Like, MIBR sweeping here was so unexpected, but so well deserved.
Yeah, for sure. And now it has a chance for us to talk about the brackets a little bit now as well. So congratulating our first team, at least here for MIBR, who punched their tickets over to EWC in Paris happening next month. Now we also have more happening. I don't know if it's already happened in the past. I think it was happening at the same time. Crew Visa was playing against Sentinels, and Crew apparently is playing a mix in one of the maps here on Lotus. So I'm going to have fun convincing the coach stack to allow for me to play some mix. But if anything, though, you have to think about the big matches that's going to happen on stream tomorrow as well, or the big match. It's 100 Thieves versus Loud in another BO5 to see who will be the second team of the Americas to qualify to EWC in Paris.
And also joining the already qualified teams at EWC, of course, Heretics, those EWC 2025 winners. You have Vitality, Paper X, EDG, Gentlemates, K-Corp, RRQ, Global Esports, XLG, and All Gamers. There's a ton of really good teams going to EWC this year, and I think MIBR are ready to shake things up over there. I'm excited to see them.
Hell yeah, and you see the updates as well. Sentinels winning against Crew Visa despite the mix coming out on Lotus. Sentinels is moving forward as well, and I think they're awaiting now the loser between 100 Thieves and Loud, while Leviatán is also waiting between the matchup of Furia and NRG. Furia, who's also been on a downward spiral since stage 1 of the VCTs, are looking to regroup, but they're playing against Energy, the world champs of 2025, who also lost to Loud of teams as well. So this bracket for the phase 2 and the Americas shaping up for the EWC into stage 2 of the VCTs is looking to get spicy.
Yeah, and then an important wake up call too for Lev. It's not over for them. They work through the lower bracket, and worst case, they get a lower seed than MIBR. Then we got some really spicy narratives going into EWC, and Paris being a familiar territory to a lot of these teams. It's going to be a really good point. And then Masters London is around the corner. There is so much good Valorant fans. I can't wait to watch it.
100%. And again, the action continues tomorrow here with another BO5 on the stream. I know there's a lot of watch partiers. Also, Rob Moore is watching from a Sentinels POV. Zix is watching every single POV that he can, from challengers into the EWC, into the VCTs. Man, this guy's the new Sliggy. He's the Sliggy of the Americas. But yeah, there's a lot of eyes watching this tournament right now. So a big shout out to those that are currently watch partying and also following the action of this bracket. But if you want to get another great BO5 on this mainstream tomorrow, make sure you tune in for that one, Lemon Kiwi.
I can't wait. Let's go and take a look at what else we have in store. But either way, I think the qualifier is done, and we are ready to see you tomorrow, actually. So we'll see you there.
Bye.
しようよ準備外的早もう止まらないこの世界を楽しんでみたんだ
I think you can feel it, that this is a magical moment. And not every moment can be precious like this. So come on, here's something you don't want to miss.